Blue-haired cold shoddy ignored my bro completely in the hunter's base, thinking he's the worthless loser he really is. But when they got to the training room and she pointed the Fortnite gun at bro's mouth and told him to scram, he stood on business and dodged the shot with ease at a one-step distance, got close to the bitch and kicked her gun to make her miss again. Baby doll brought out some Kurapika chains and began trying to slash my boy while the hunter admin just observed, but unfortunately for her, this loser is here to farm aura. Blondie baddie even went to her ears and just told her to forfeit. She had no chance against this white-ass boy, but this weirdo blonde hunter wouldn't let someone humiliate his e-girl like that, so he challenged our boy and began sniffing his neck from behind. This dude thinks he's Kahlua or something, but that whole show-off went for about 2 seconds. One dodge and a bomb to the plexus and the dude was folded. The testers and other hunters couldn't believe it, and now bitches are starting to trade sparkles for this dude. But see, this was unthinkable 1 month ago, because at that time, every time bro got to school, this Temu Eminem would scream for our boy, slap his head, and then hit on his back. Nah, wait, why is he grabbing his hair from behind like that? If I tell the AI to give me the rest of the image, it will ask me if I'm gay. But aside from getting his back blown by Eminem, bro was getting kicked, punched, trashed. When he dropped his pills, these dudes thought it was Viagra and made fun of him, saying it seems it doesn't get up. That was the moment that Blondie baddie appeared and said that she would help him get up if that's the case. Get up off the floor, my brother. Of course she helped our boy stand, but not without saying he's a disgrace, who should do something instead of just getting smacked by these guys every day. What this Blondie doesn't know though, is that soon enough he will clean her moisty dirty hole every day. I'm talking about her sink because he's helping her with the dishes and making sure the whole kitchen is pristine, since they will be living together and this girl will awaken some League of Legends of Harry powers with her 9 tails for grip handle on her back. But back to our boy getting home after getting beaten the whole day by Eminem. He just hides himself in his room, and when his grandma asks, he just pretends he's fine. He sleeps. Cut to the next day. Grandma's making breakfast, and the protagonist sees his face is still completely wrecked. No way to hide it. Grandma's yelling, "Get up and go to school." He's trying to avoid eye contact, saying he's fine, he doesn't want to eat right now while hiding his face. She tells him to at least take a spoonful. But when he's about to answer, the doorbell rings. He goes to see what it is, and it looks like a delivery guy. Grandma asks who it is. He says it's a delivery. Then he runs off to the bathroom and leaves her there. The door opens and Dry Mouth starts walking into the apartment, face to face with the 100-year-old grandma. And yep, it's him, the piranha mouth freak. Grandma doesn't look scared at all. She's totally calm. And then the creature suddenly goes from 0 to 100 and lunges at her. While the idiot is showering peacefully, she falls to the floor, still way too calm. Honestly, the monster has half its skull exposed and comes in swinging. Like, relax. What is this, Grandma? Hold on. She dodges and says she found him again. That one I did not expect. Plot twist. Grandma throws her hand to the side and pulls out these things. Blood ropes, and immobilizes the creature. The thing walked right into a trap, thought it was hunting, and ended up being hunted. And Grandma tells it to stop looking for him. The creature is furious, trying to break free. Its arms get destroyed, more tentacles pop out up top, and it goes in for another attack. The whole living room is getting wrecked, while the protagonist is in the shower, wondering what those noises are. He's in there while Grandma keeps the creature pinned, telling it to stay still. He's thinking maybe he heard something wrong. While the fight keeps going, Grandma takes a whip-like hit and gets shoved back. The creature tries and tries, but in the end she manages to pin it to the floor and finish it off. Meanwhile, the protagonist is still in the bathroom putting on makeup, king of looks maxing. Grandma doesn't even need that. Her wounds regenerate. At school, the protagonist is walking around exhausted, thinking he never told Grandma he lost his meds. In PE class, he got all weak and passed out on the floor. He woke up a long time later. It was already afternoon, and his head was pounding. He had this weird feeling like he'd had some strange dreams. Then his phone rang. It was Grandma, worried, saying they were going to move again. She knows he doesn't like it, but unfortunately they'd have to go through it again. The story says the reason he's always the isolated kid is because he keeps moving, so he never makes friends, and because he has no friends he gets beaten up, and then it's the same bullying cycle. Nice, right? To make a good protagonist, you need bullying. The downside is you get the protagonist while he's starving, has no friends, and has been like this since he was a teenager without a single real friendship. Around the city, more of those piranha mouth things keep showing up. Meanwhile, at the protagonist's home, Grandma is the one always watching, always ready to protect him. We see that poor worker doing deliveries, and suddenly the creature appears next to him, staring him down. The poor guy panics and hits the curb. If he were in a Tesla with autopilot, he'd be fine. But now it's over. Those piranha things swarm the little car. Next day, we see the guy feeding a cat, and that same little truck from before is parked behind him. The cat seems to take a bite, grabs the food, and runs off. He hears banging upstairs and also sees a guy next to him opening the back door of the truck, and inside it was packed with people. Meanwhile, the protagonist is having a calm breakfast. Dogs barking, thinking mornings are always loud. But Grandma, S-rank Grandma, immediately notices something's off and tells him to go to school because he's late. He's like, "What do you mean?" There's plenty of time, but she snatches the plate out of his hands. "Go, get out of here." She basically kicks him out. He's thinking, is this old lady crazy? But okay. The dogs stop barking and he figures it's better to just go. But when he gets to the elevator, boom, he runs into the gang. He's confused, like why are there so many delivery guys, what's going on? They walk past him like it's nothing, but they stink like they left this black breath behind, and our kid starts freaking out and basically blacks out. He recognizes the smell and wonders where they're going. One of them passing by is like, "Where are you going?" and hits the elevator button. The protagonist gets inside thinking, yeah, this place is definitely weird. And of course the piranha gang is now face to face with Grandma who's ready. Meanwhile, the protagonist walks past the cargo truck. He looks at it and thinks it's strange. There's nothing to deliver, so why did so many people climb in like that? Then an explosion upstairs. One of the creatures is trying to fly without a parachute, just like our kid was thinking about the other day. Seeing that, he realizes this thing did what he always wanted. But before that, there's something he has to deal with. He runs to the elevator, doesn't work, so he has to take the stairs. Upstairs, the big piranha things have their mouths wide open, while Grandma has her eyes closed. She locks in, activates her power, and it wipes everything out. Then some deep web ratatouille-looking thing comes in to bite her, but she pulls those ropes again, some kind of formation. Just when I was about to say Grandma's going to carry the whole story, something that clearly looks like a final boss shows up. It charges her. She tries to restrain it by the neck, but it slams her arm and shoves her back. Even so, she manages to wrap around its neck, comes up from behind. It looks like she's handling it, while the protagonist is sprinting down the hallway. Hand on his chest, exhausted, hand on the doorknob. Then Grandma decides to lock him out. And that distraction is exactly what the monster needed, because it drives a hit straight into her stomach. She should have let the kid see what was going on instead of taking that gut punch. At least the creature's arm falls off too. But the monster seems to realize that if she's hiding this kid so hard, maybe he's the key. Grandma starts releasing more power, and the monster becomes even more sure. She grabs it by the head, slams it into the wall, and says anyone who knows about this has to die. Outside, down below, the kid sees blood on the trees, and behind him someone is coming. The good news, inside the apartment, all the creatures are dead. The bad news, Grandma's still holding her chest, and when she looks back, the trash of the story is causing trouble again. The protagonist is immobilized, and now Grandma realizes there's no way to save him. The creature asks if this child is important. She begs them to leave the kid alone, and says she'll go with them. But then the creature starts gently stroking the main character's face, and that's when the old lady shows her powers. The main character must be standing there in shock thinking, "Lady, I get beat up at school every day and you're this strong?" But her strength doesn't last long. The thing lashes her with a whip and her arm is gone. Now the kid who gets bullied every day is about to go full McDonald's on the monster, except he gets thrown far away and slams into a wall, while the old lady, now basically just a stump, runs toward him saying, "I'm going to save you." Yeah, sure. Blood sprays, the big bastard smiles, and the main character is furious. He wants to save his grandma, but he gets stabbed too. Brilliant. 1 + 1 really does equal 2. I thought the kid was about to do something. But nope, it's on the old lady again. Now she's there awakening. I don't know, some kind of jujutsu expansion? She flicks her hand and a billion threads appear, surround the creature, tighten, wrap, tear it apart while the main character is basically out cold, and she collapses beside him. He realizes they might both die there, and then he suddenly blacks out, seeing these creatures in a fight happening somewhere like hell or something. In that fight, there were creatures with markings like the ones his grandma had on her face. Then you see his grandma running away with something in her arm, throwing herself off a cliff, diving down and disappearing. The main character notices none of those memories are his, but then he starts remembering things from his own past. When he was a kid, he used to hit other people too. It wasn't just him getting beat up. One time he beat a kid up and the kid's mom came to complain. For a second I thought he was going to hit the mom too, and I was about to say, what a menace. But what actually happens is he gets hit with this psychological shock when he realizes that kid had a mom to defend him while he was alone in the world. While he's in that sad memory, at the same time he's in his grandma's arms with a crater open in his chest. Seeing the cooling system that got installed in him, she realizes she has to do one last thing for him. She says the rebels still ruled this land, and that the passage to reach this world would open one more time. Energy starts building up and she says, unfortunately, she has no choice. She has to give back the weapon she took from him and send the boy to the battlefield. Then she makes a little flame and basically passes him the joint, and those chains he said he felt holding him back, now they snap. A blue power starts surrounding him as he stands up while his grandma starts fading away. No, Grandma, she says goodbye, telling him she loves him. Sometime later, the kid wakes up and realizes his grandma isn't there anymore. Looks like a few days passed because he goes to the police station to report it. My grandma disappeared. The cop's like, who took her? Tell me. He draws a picture. It was this guy, a huge monster. Obviously the cop thinks the kid is losing it. They basically try to drag him out, and the main character realizes nobody is taking him seriously. He goes back home, throws himself on the couch, tries to sleep, but he can't. He keeps replaying that whole nightmare. Every night it's hard to sleep and he's desperate for news, spreading rumors, asking around, talking to everyone. Back at school, like nothing happened, his friends are like, hey, you disappeared, are you okay? But the moment they say that, he feels something weird and doesn't really understand it. Later in PE class, the kid who's always last is suddenly flying. He's Usain Bolt. Everyone's shocked. Nobody can keep up with him. At the same time, he has that feeling someone's watching him. And when you turn around and actually see someone watching you, it's not a feeling anymore. When he turns, it's the redhead and the blonde. She asks if he wants something, if he needs help. He says no and starts walking away. She wants to ask about his meds and he keeps saying he's fine, he doesn't need them. He even stopped taking them. That's when he remembers he hasn't taken his meds since his grandma disappeared. That suddenly gives him an idea and he just takes off, jumping away and leaving. The blonde stands there confused like, yeah, that guy really is crazy. Right after that, the M&M guy walks by, sees her and instantly gets all love-struck. But then he realizes the girl doesn't like bald guys and she keeps calling out to Luna, who completely ignores him. Out on the street, the main character is thinking about everything that happened. His body feels weirdly fast and strong, While he's wondering what's going on, he sees Luna working pretty and hardworking. What more could you want? He wonders if he should talk to her since she ignored him earlier. But then he sees an elderly woman collecting cardboard on the street and it reminds him of his grandma. He stares like an idiot, apologizes for looking too much, helps her finish, stands up and thanks her. But at the store, Luna's shift gets interrupted by those guys showing up. She clearly doesn't want them there. They go, "Hey Blondie, we're here to buy some drinks. You better not ask for my ID because I'm obviously over 18. She refuses and one of them is about to punch her. That should get someone arrested. But in the end, the two idiots just get kicked out and nothing happens. Then the redhead nudges the other and says, "Look, it's that one who eats rats. Let's make her buy drinks for us." The blonde guy walks up and goes, "Hi, my dear homeless lady. We want you to buy us some drinks. You can keep." Before he can finish, she snaps at them and tells them to get lost. They get mad. She refused, starts stepping on her cardboard, smacking money against her head. The main character sees it, remembers his grandma, and he's not having it. He pulls the old woman away and tells her to leave, and of course now it's on him. Which is perfect, because we need him to throw his first punch already. The guys get in his face. "What? Is she your grandma, you idiot?" He hates it, while they laugh at him getting mad. One of them grabs him by the neck and slams him into the wall, tells the redhead to keep watch because he's gonna beat this kid up, and the main character gets beat up. I thought he was about to have his big turning point, but not yet. Then you see him cracking, like his patience finally snapping. He grabs the guy's shoe and yanks his heel. The guy screams and the redhead hears it and comes running, trying to help his friend who's already wrecked against the wall. The main character is staring with his eyes glowing. Then suddenly he runs off like a maniac. He's asking himself what's happening to him. Later he's in the park remembering everything. That hole in his chest. He starts realizing maybe all of it was real. But how is that possible if he's still alive? And why does he feel like he got stronger? No answers because it's the next day. The redhead is in his class. He recognizes the main character and goes, "You idiot. My friend's hurt because of you. Are you crazy touching my friend?" The main character still apologizes, saying he was confused. Meanwhile, his friend is like, "What is this? He hit the guy?" The redhead says it looks like the main character wants to die. But Junyoung, the main character's friend, tells the redhead to be patient. He's going through a hard time. Big mistake, because now it's going to fall on him. When the redhead steps forward, the main character calls out and gives him that main character stare. The guy feels the pressure. Just one look, full Sung Jin-woo energy. The redhead completely folds and walks away without saying anything. His friend thinks Ronan is acting weird, like he's never seen him act before. Later at night, someone's walking their dog and the dog suddenly gets angry, barking like crazy. But one look from the main character, and even the dog shuts up. The kid is out on a night walk, goes to an abandoned building, walks in, thinking everything is suspicious. The suspicious one is him, wandering around at midnight in an abandoned place, climbing up what? Is he going to try flying without a parachute again? Not today. He's just feeling the night air. He sees a metal bar and thinks, "Damn, can I even move this?" He puts all his strength into it and can't. He's relieved. Thank God I couldn't. If I could, that would mean something's wrong with me. Then he looks back and sees he left the thing completely bent. To prove to himself he really has some new kind of insanity going on. He tries again, puts in all his strength, and for someone who couldn't do it, he suddenly lifts it with one hand. That's it. He realizes he's the protagonist now. Next day, the blonde guy whose leg he squeezed shows up limping. Everyone looks. Look at him walking like that now. He sits down without saying anything. The redhead asks, "Why are you limping? Was it from that night?" The blonde doesn't answer, just looks at the main character staring off into the distance. The redhead yells, "Answer me. What happened?" The blonde tells him to shut up because the kid will hear them. The redhead doesn't get it. "What? Are you scared of that loser?" The blonde tells him to stop annoying him, grabs his books and starts studying like he doesn't want to provoke the main character. The redhead just keeps remembering that look he got and stays quiet. Later at lunch, everyone's eating when the M&M guy comes over saying the boys have way too much food. How about sharing with a friend? He sits down and he actually brought more than them. The blonde is drooling, wanting everything he has, then looks to the side and sees the goddess Luna walking by. He tells her, "Sit here with us, come on, eat with us, I'll give you some of my chicken." She walks past without answering. He realizes every time he gets completely ignored by her. And Luna, she's not a dog, but she's got a sharp nose. The main character barely awakened and she already wants to stick close to him. She sits down after ignoring the other guy who's now angrily chewing his food. Clearly this isn't going to end well for the main character. He gets slammed into a wall and they demand to know how that idiot broke the blonde guy's leg. And really, he's pressuring the blonde, punching the wall and everything, forcing him to explain what the hell this story is. Then that girl gets involved again. She pokes at them and says they're hesitating to go mess with the main character now. Before they loved beating him up. Now they're scared. Eminem tries to keep it light, says her joke is funny. But she crosses her arms and says he really does look scared. He hesitates and says there's no way he'd be scared of that loser. She steps closer and says she can smell fear. He's basically panicking. For some reason, she clearly wants him to go fight the main character. It's obvious. Then it looks like she messages the main character telling him to go to the back gate after school, or he'll be bullied forever. The main character doesn't really get it. The only obvious thing is there's about to be a fight. Looks like the whole school is going to find out they want to humiliate him in public. Eminem is already stretching and everyone wants to watch. He steps up face to face and tells the main character not to make it boring and to hold out for a bit. But the future Sung Jin-woo is furious, fist clenched. People around them are saying it'll be funny to see him get beat up today. And the idiot Eminem wants to show off since everyone's watching, so he says, "Listen up, this guy is pathetic. That's why I'm going to let him hit first, just so you can see it won't make any difference." Jun-young and the blonde guy realize that was a terrible idea. Eminem looks at the main character and goes, "So, are you going to punch me or what?" Making faces, showing off his ugly gums. Then he gets blasted before he can say anything else and drops to the ground. Teeth go flying and everyone's staring with their mouths open, while the blonde guy is thinking, yeah, obviously. The guy goes sailing like he floated and lands way off in the distance. Yeah, but the main guy isn't done. Not even close. He grabs him by the neck and forces him to stand up like we're just getting started. Right then, everybody got chills. The main guy is staring him down, eyes locked in, hands smeared with blood, and the other dude is completely wrecked. He steps in real close for some reason, while the guy's trying to say he needs help but nothing comes out. Meanwhile, that blonde girl, the troublemaker who started all this, was just up there watching. This was exactly what she wanted. Yeah, you little menace. Later that night, the kid's heading home when out of nowhere someone throws a backpack at him. It's his only friend who suddenly wants to be a real friend now, like he's not embarrassed to talk to him anymore. He's super curious, trying to figure out what happened, why he's acting like this, what changed so much, but the main guy just says it's nothing. Still, it gets in his head, and those thoughts distract him because it's obvious someone's watching him the whole way home. He gets there calmly, turns on the light like it's no big deal, and then holy crap, he looks up, and there's a flying cockroach. I thought it was about to lunge right away, but the thing's smart, just waiting. The main guy throws a plate straight into its jaw. The thing tried to set a trap for the hunter, but of course it immediately charges. He dodges, grabs its arm, and twists. Brutal. Snaps it clean in half, no mercy. The kid's ice cold, already ripped the arm off, and the poor creature freaks out and tries to run outside. The main guy comes down from above, stepping across the air conditioners, and kicks it so hard it explodes on the ground. But when he gets down there, there's only blood. The creature's still trying to escape, wondering what the hell this is, why this human is so strong. But the kid's already leveled up. He's right there beside it, staring it down. Suddenly, a big chunk of wood comes flying at him. He smashes it, and then he sees the creature on top of another building. Out of nowhere, he pulls an umbrella out of absolutely nowhere, launches it across the distance, and pins the creature through the chest. It's impaled. He walks up, wanting to know what that thing is doing there, and what it has to do with his grandma disappearing. The monster seems honest, and says the creatures they sent to hunt that woman never came back. The main guy realizes it knows something, twists the umbrella and tells it to explain why they were hunting her. The creature screams, agonizing, and says they're looking for some kind of key. The main guy doesn't get it. What key? The monster says it's obviously the key that leads to the other side of the portal. And since the kid is a demon, he should know. He's completely confused. How is he a demon? He keeps crushing the creature while it tells him to look at himself. Clearly that strength and the way he moves aren't human. Then he catches his reflection nearby and sees a strange mark on his face. He starts wondering if he really isn't human anymore. And while he's standing there questioning his whole existence, the creature disappears. Amazing. Human or not, one thing's for sure. That was dumb. The creature drops into an alley and sees the umbrella guy, who freaks out and falls back. The main guy runs through the crowd, but there's only a confused little kid there asking if he's okay. He doesn't answer, ignores them, and takes off. Then the scene shifts to a weird underworld. That creature managed to get back to base and report what it learned about the strange boy. It also reports that Sena, the main guy's grandmother, died, and the boy he ran into seemed to have powers that used to belong to her. A demon asks why he didn't bring the boy back. The creature apologizes, saying the kid was stronger than expected. Someone in the room says he shouldn't have been beaten by a human. The creature insists that wasn't human. Then a guy with scars across his chest steps forward. That's the demon Shin. He grabs the creature by the chin, forces its mouth shut on itself, and tells it to tell the truth. The creature swears it's not lying and says the boy's breath was colder than a powerful demon's, yet it burned. And then out of nowhere, Shin rips its head off. He turns to everyone and says nobody better lie like that creature did. But the one sitting on the throne seems interested in this whole cold breath that burns thing. Another creature says that might be proof the first king is still alive. Humans and demons have been fighting each other since medieval times, and every time the passage opens and they come into contact, war breaks out. But it's been thousands of years since the portal last opened after the last war. That's why to humans, demons became legends. Nobody believes they exist anymore. Still, it was inevitable the gates would eventually open again. Back in the main guy's world, he runs to the police station because they told him they found images of his grandma. He looks and it really is her. But how is that possible? In theory, her body got pierced. We saw her disintegrate right in front of us, so it makes no sense. He asks where it was, and the police say it was at the place where people buy medicine. Immediately, he remembers his grandma used to give him those meds, and he takes off running. On the way, he thinks, if she bought those meds all the time, she probably had a supplier. If he finds the supplier, maybe he'll find out where she ended up. After searching around, he spots a guy who looks totally not suspicious at all, with glasses sitting on his head. The guy turns around and asks who he is. The main guy just says his grandma's name, and the guy tells him to wait there. And like an idiot, he waits. Waits so long he realizes the guy played him and left while he stood there. So he sprints after him and catches him mid-escape. But the kid's basically using demon cheat codes now. One step on a wall and he's already face to face. The guy goes to kick him out of nowhere, but the kid doesn't want to fight, and they end up squared up. The guy asks who he really is. The main guy shows the little bottle and says he's Santa's grandson, the one who bought medicine here. Then the guy starts explaining what the medicine does. It's a drug with a ton of side effects that blocks demonic strength. Creatures who escape the underworld and want to blend in with humans take it, so nobody notices. And the old guy seems to know something, because he wonders if this is the kid the old woman brought. The main guy asks him to tell his grandma's story. The guy says she was one of the greatest warriors among the demons, part of some royal guard that served a certain empress. But the king's younger brother, a guy named Kun, decided to build an army to invade the palace and destroyed everything. In the end, thousands of demons, humans, and others died. Only a few survived, and the ones who made it out alive hid in the human realm. And his grandma was probably one of them, along with many others still hiding out. On top of that, the guy knows she had something everyone was hunting. The older guy asks what happened to her for him to come all the way there, and the main guy hesitates before admitting she passed away. A little later, the kid's a mess on top of a building, looking down, wondering if he'll be able to kill the demons who took his grandma from him. Big power comes with big responsibility. Meanwhile, in the demon world, they're searching for survivors. They want to cross the so-called passage of death, and the name alone tells you the odds of making it out alive aren't great. But what they really want is the key, probably the key that connects their world to ours. A black-haired guy says he's sure Sana must have left it with her former child, and that gray-haired guy is the great demon king, saying that child is the biggest opportunity they've ever had. Back with the kid, he's going through his grandma's belongings. It's a heavy moment. He finds a photo of the two of them, man, grandma, with that goofy little smile. He puts it away. Then it's time for the usual school stuff. Getting bullied, beating up the tough guys, but wait. When he gets to school, the girls are all hyped up saying hi to him. He's standing there confused, like what is going on? When his friend comes to greet him, suddenly everyone's talking to him now. You know that saying, a woman who's too pretty is worse than a demon, and that cursed blonde girl definitely lives up to it. She tells him she wants to meet after class. He asks why, but Junin cuts in and says he's going to meet her. Yes, he is. He's not running away. But while he's stuck in this teenage romance situation, on the other side of the school there are people beaten down on the floor. Poor Eminem still hasn't recovered physically or mentally from the beating he took, saying they're going to make that bastard pay for what he did. The blonde guy says, yeah, for sure, he'll pay. And the other guy says, perfect. That bastard was going to learn what happens when you mess with them. Their plan is to corner Junin, slap him around, and demand, where's that idiot friend of yours? Junin tries to play the nice guy, but then he gets stomped in the ribs, his hand gets crushed, and they yank him back by the hair. Brutal. But then Junin hits back, straight to the cheek, and Eminem loses it like he's got a demon inside him for real. He throws Junin into the wall. A while later, the main guy is in class thinking about all this demon insanity when he notices, wait, where's the guy who sits in that desk? And the bullies aren't here either. They're definitely beating him up. When he goes out to find his friend, boom, he runs into him all messed up. Jung tries to act tough. Nah, it didn't even hurt. You're crazy. They beat me up. I cried. I stumbled back here, but I'm fine. The main guy hates hearing that. He stands up and asks where they are. But Junjung, like the love interest in a romance movie, goes, no, you don't need to get revenge for me, it's fine. You don't have to solve everything with violence. The main guy just watches, knowing Junjung says that, but he's probably sick of getting beaten up, just like the main guy used to be. At the end of class, the skirt-wearing demon girl comes up to him, but he's using that reverse strategy that always works. The more he ignores her, the more interested she gets. But then there's this trio of school idiots walking home, when some hooded guys stare them down. They're confused, not sure what's happening. Next thing you know, they're getting dragged toward an alley, called over to some dark doorway. The main guy still thinks he might get a chance to talk, but in the same second, someone comes up behind him and cracks him in the back of the head. Meanwhile, the hooded guys are at the school sniffing people, which is weird as hell. At the warehouse, though, the baton hits the floor. One guy looks confused, and the main guy appears behind him and kicks him down. Another one gets hit so hard it's like a cannon to the face. People are flying everywhere. They're scared, but they keep attacking. And the main guy is just going, boom. Another serving. Eminem in the background is in shock, like he's really going to beat everybody. The main guy leaves them all kissing the asphalt. Then he looks back and tells Eminem to come closer. The bald guy sees a bottle nearby and panics. He breaks it and tries to use it as a weapon. But come on, what are the odds? The main guy is basically full Sung Jinwoo mode now. Come closer. Don't be scared. But then suddenly, he feels something weird. Back at school, the little monsters are revealing themselves and starting to attack everyone. Like, what is this? Weren't you supposed to stay hidden? Even the main guy's friend is getting attacked. Everyone's running. The main guy looks outside while Eminem is standing there shocked there are monsters, and also kind of relieved he's not the one getting beaten up. Or almost. Because the main guy turns his back for a second, and Eminem tries to swing the broken bottle at him. But the kid pulls a slick move, just shuts the door, and the guy smashes into it like an idiot. He starts yelling for him to open up so they can talk it out, but the kid locks it and walks away. Meanwhile, one of the teachers is heading toward a classroom. What's that noise? What's going on? He looks in and sees people getting completely devoured, human fluids flying everywhere, and then he gets blasted in the chest and another monster comes in. The skirt demon girl is in another part of the school, but she can tell something's happening nearby. She runs toward it. Face to face, a creature lunges at her, but from her skinny little body she pulls out a rope, wraps it around the thing's neck, jumps onto its back, yanks hard, and rips it off. Insane. She took it down with that rope like it was nothing. Meanwhile, there's another creep sniffing a student's neck, grabbing him from behind. What is this? Seriously, this is like the Diddy apocalypse. Get out of here. I'd be in shock too, just like those kids, like come on, run, holy crap, are you out of your mind? Then the main guy shows up and sets off the alarm. One of the monsters notices and immediately turns toward him. His plan was to start drawing all the creatures to himself, to pull them away from everyone else. Good lord. But Eminem is still, no, I've got to respect him. He doesn't quit. Well, I guess that respect is about to end, because he rushed in like an idiot and got his head slammed into the wall until it basically exploded. Now he's just there like, help me out, we're friends. But the main guy's like, are you crazy? I'm not helping you. You're done. The creature keeps crushing his head, and he's there with the wall already half destroyed, crying, blood pouring out, when suddenly something comes out of nowhere and clocks the monster right in the mouth. It's the main guy coming in to save him. He lays into it with a whole combo and goes to rescue Eminem. And honestly, this would have been the perfect moment to finish it off. The demon starts falling apart, and Eminem glances to the side, realizing the distance between them is insane. He's trying to figure out if the main guy is even human. Before the main guy can answer, another monster gets blown up. It's that gorgeous skirt-wearing demon girl beating up the Gina's demons. The main guy's standing there like, what is this blonde girl? How are you this strong? But she notices both of them looking at her at the exact same time. She immediately throws a punch, smacks Eminem in the mouth, and slams him to the floor. And considering how messed up that guy is, he's probably gonna wake up happy anyway. The blonde gets straight to business and tells the main guy to get out of there because every creature in that school is hunting him. Him being there will only attract more demons, so he shouldn't try to do anything. In other words, get it through your head. And right then, there's already a whole crowd of Dee Dees coming up the stairs. She tells him to run to the gym, and he listens, breaks a window, and they end up in the middle of the court. He shuts the door, there are creatures pounding on the other side, and then one of them breaks a window. He grabs a ladder and manages to defend himself while the thing tries to bite him, until a rope suddenly wraps around the creature's neck, yanks it, and smashes it into the wall. The main guy looks over at the blonde and asks how she fights so well. She just says there are more important things to deal with, and then a bunch more demons show up from every direction. They're completely surrounded, and then the creatures start merging together. The good part is that during the fusion they can kind of hide off to the side. The bad part is it turns into Nikocado avocado before the diet. But the blonde is bold and decides to use herself as bait. The big thing charges, coming in with this huge hand covered in eyes, and it looks like she's about to dodge. Then suddenly a curtain drops over the monster and it's all tangled up and blinded. The main guy, who was hanging up there, pulls another Spider-Man move and starts bending all the ceiling beam. He goes in for what could have been the finishing blow, but back at the school all their friends are taking an eternal nap. And in the middle of all that, there's a creature that's clearly on a whole different level. It looks toward the gym and smiles like it found what it was looking for. Back on the court, the Nikocado thing goes down after getting impaled. The girl tells the main guy they should go somewhere safe. He watches the creature fall apart, thinking it's the same thing that happened to his grandma. But before they can leave, he hears a scream and immediately recognizes it as his one idiot friend. And then the friend shows up right in front of them. But we know he was being hunted, so what is he doing there? The girl notices the shadows and warns that something isn't normal. The main guy, being the idiot he is, completely ignores it. Of course, something comes out of the kid's shadow. And wow, it's brutal. While the friend is staring at him, the attack suddenly pierces through both of them. Two birds with one stone. Both boys drop like a couple in a drama, looking at each other as they fall. And the main guy gets that same feeling he had the day his grandma died. He wonders how it's possible he has to go through losing someone important again. While the girl is yelling for him, he's remembering his birthday with his grandma. He wishes he could go back to that moment, but he knows it's just illusions. He starts to get up, sees his grandma lying dead on the table, and when he grabs her arm, she crumbles away. Suddenly, he's in this blue void. Some hidden power starts showing. Fire, lightning in his eyes. The demon looks scared, and even the girl doesn't understand what's happening. The main guy is glowing like he's in Dragon Ball mode, with that power that freezes harder than any demon. The creature in front of him turns into a giant popsicle. In the same second, he just reaches out, shatters everything, and seems to pass out. Next scene, he wakes up again. He says the bed smelled way too good. Then he walks around the house and sees it looks like a luxury mansion, but the place is completely sealed. In other hallways, he finds an area full of weapons, axes, and a bunch of weird stuff. It clearly looks like some kind of war setup, and that makes him nervous. He grabs an axe and starts walking down the corridors ready to attack, but then he sees it's the girl. And honestly, she's more dangerous than any demon, so he probably should have finished her off right there. A little later, he's just spacing out while she finishes her shower and comes out in this casual, super Korean-style outfit. He's still wondering who she really is and how she fights that well. She says she's more impressed that he didn't die. Even though he survived that injury, he could still drop dead at any moment. It's crazy he made it out of that. He's sitting there all awkward, but he thanks her for saving his life. Then he remembers his friend got stabbed too and asks what happened. She shows him the axe and says the boy is fine and in a safe place. How? Magic? Because the guy's chest got destroyed, and he doesn't think his friend is a demon. He asks if it's true, and she says yes. Out of nowhere, the main guy starts crying. Like, don't hit me with a random emotional scene like that. She's confused, like, is this guy messing with us? Because suddenly he looks up and stares like he's not even really crying. Then angry, he asks who she really is. She answers that she also wants to know who he is. They sit in silence, and then she stands up and says they could go for a run before eating. He has no idea what her deal is. He ignores it, gets up to leave and says he's not staying in the house of someone he doesn't even know. But she wants him to stay, saying he's in a fragile condition and shouldn't go out right now. He tries to prove he's fine, almost like he's about to swing at her. But that effort opens the crater in his chest again, and he smells blood. She grabs his arm and says, "This is exactly what I mean. You're not recovered." Then she throws him to the floor, Like, what is this? What kind of pin is that? How is she planning to help him recover? And she talks him down too, saying he can't handle her even when he's healthy. And that's why, from now on, she's going to be his guardian. He's totally confused, and she stands up telling him to get up. Then she notices smoke behind her and realizes the food she left cooking burned because of all the nonsense he's been causing. He apologizes for distracting her while she was chewing him out, then asks if she has any ingredients. She hands him over, and he starts cooking like he's on MasterChef. He's talented, like he's used to doing it at home. And she's just watching him from the side, giving him that sideways look. What they don't know is someone recorded a video of that whole mess at the school, including footage of them getting slammed to the ground. Good for the main guy that the police and authorities already wiped it from the internet. Just like real life, everything's censored, the government deciding what we get to watch. But even if the kids from class don't know, there are important people in a meeting trying to figure out how they're going to deal with this. There were too many survivors, and the truth could spread. The leader with glasses immediately orders them to find the boy, and then they'll decide what to do. Back with the main guy and the blonde, he's getting emotional talking about his grandma and how she was such a good person, while she just watches and tells him to relax because he's safe now. Yeah, no, whenever someone says that, it's over. That place is about to get destroyed. He comments that her house is full of weapons and axes and asks what's going on. And does she know about demons? Obviously she does. She saw Nikakato transform and didn't even react. So the blonde says she'll explain everything, and takes him to the front of the defense organization building. He asks if this place is really secret considering how huge the building is. She says just because nobody knows the organization exists, doesn't mean the building has to look hidden. Basically, people don't really know what goes on inside. When he goes in and walks through the halls, everything looks normal. While Luna explains that the war against demons has been going on for centuries, they get into an elevator. Suddenly, a small hand appears and a blue-haired girl steps in. She doesn't say anything, just comes in all dark and silent, while Luna puts her hand on the scanner and enters her password. The elevator suddenly starts moving insanely fast, and the main guy realizes wherever they're going, it's definitely something secret, and the blue-haired girl is just staring at him, and he has no idea why. After a while, they reach a place with scientists and people running tests, and they pass through a huge gate. Luna goes up to the blue-haired girl and says they've seen each other enough times, so how about she introduces herself? Meanwhile, the main guy's like, what the hell is going on? He looks up and notices a ton of cameras filming everything. In another room, that glasses guy is watching, saying they've arrived and it's time to begin. The blue-haired girl gives a cold look, walks to a table, and sets down her guitar case. Except she's clearly not carrying a guitar in there. The main guy realizes it's a weapon. But what was that purple thing she had loaded into the gun? She sets it up and suddenly points a sniper at his head. Luna yells, asking what Eren thinks she's doing. Eren asks if Luna seriously doesn't know. The boy should have been on guard the moment he saw the weapon. The main guy doesn't understand anything, but it's obvious she's dead serious. Luna yells at the glass, saying this isn't what they agreed on. It's like a kaiju movie scene. Eren says it's not his fault, so she can only apologize, and then she pulls the trigger. The shot comes straight at him, but he has crazy reflexes and dodges. It was just a test because the old guy upstairs said he passed the speed test. Eren doesn't like that and fires 2 more shots, but he closes the distance before she can shoot again, showing how flexible he is. One shot blows up the ceiling, and it's clear if that hits him, it'll leave a crater in his body. But since he already survived 2, it doesn't seem like his biggest worry. The smoke makes him back off, and out of it come 2 weapons that almost take his head off. He realizes it's like an axe blade tip connected to a chain, but he's trying to understand why he's being attacked out of nowhere. He doesn't have time to figure it out. She keeps the combo going, and all he can do is dodge. While he's almost dying, the old guy is watching, saying the boy's defense is impressive, but why isn't he attacking? Eren fires 2 more right as he jumps and comes in to hit him from behind. But she does something. One blade hits the other and changes the trajectory. So there was a hidden blade inside the other one, and he didn't see it coming. He barely slips past it, has to land twisted, slams his back on the floor, and then Luna rushes in and grabs Eren, telling her to stop right now. She warns that if Eren attacks him again, she won't just stand there. Then someone in the room says the test is over. Eren pulls her arm away from Luna and walks out, while the main guy is left confused. But you can see her hand is injured. A little later, the main guy meets the old man who asks why he didn't fight. Is he trying to hide his strength? The main guy doesn't answer, while Luna says that test was way too intense. Why did they attack him like that without warning? The old man says it was just a test to measure the boy's physical abilities. Luna says he's still recovering, but the main guy answers that he preferred to just dodge for now. Otherwise, that girl was going to get hurt. Hey, calm down, Sung Jinwoo. Now you want to farm aura after doing absolutely nothing? Even the old guy says he's underestimating the girl, and he can be sure she didn't go all out either. I mean, it should be obvious, but he must have realized he's become a target for demons and monsters. And from the records they have, it hasn't been long since he awakened his abilities. The protagonist says, yeah, it really hasn't been that long. Then the guy explains that lately the creatures have been more and more determined to cross into this dimension. Their plan is to get rid of all ability users first, like Eren, like Luna, like him, because people like them are the biggest obstacle to them taking over humanity. So the kid can't just stand around doing nothing. The old man says that the protagonist doesn't answer, and Luna kind of steps in to tell the old man, you can't dump that responsibility on him. But the guy cuts her off and says he needs to remember that if they do nothing, the world is going to be destroyed. And besides, they provide weapons, training, and any support they can. On the other hand, if he wants to receive those things too, he'll have to prove his worth face to face with the old man. The moment he says that, a woman appears on the monitor, saying there's something really important the captain needs to see. He straightens his suit and leaves, saying he'll explain the rest later. Then out of nowhere, the protagonist asks if all the demons had to die. The old man answers that coexistence has already failed for countless years. Yes, every single one of them needs to disappear from this world. Scene change. The protagonist is walking with Luna, noticing that after all that, she seems kind of down. Up ahead they see Aaron, 19 years old, thank goodness nobody's going to jail today. Then he asks if Luna is like that girl, like those human fighters. She explains that yes, since she was very young, she's been coming to this place to develop her combat skills. But he should know that Darren is not someone to mess with. The protagonist says Luna's the same, remembering her house full of weapons. But she says no, when he sees her fight for real, then he'll understand. And she tells him that if it were her, she'd refuse the offer they're making him. He says he seriously doubts that. They're in the middle of that pointless back and forth when someone rushes by with a stretcher, panicking, yelling to check the heartbeat and vital signs. That grabs the protagonist's attention, and he starts wondering who that person is and why he feels like he knows them. But then the scene completely shifts to the demon realm, where a human is practicing techniques, gripping a huge red sword. Fire in his hand, a slash, a mountain getting destroyed. Someone approaches and says they heard that once again nobody came back. The guy kneels and says yes, that's true. But they still have some soldiers available. They don't need to rush, their time will come. That's for sure. The demon master replies to Chen that he doesn't understand. They don't have all the time in the world either. Soon the entrance will open, and they need to be ready. Next chapter, there's a human in a little shop. It's the potion seller, and he says he was looking for the boy. The protagonist comes closer and says that unfortunately he moved out of the area. The old man immediately asks if he wants that potion. The protagonist says yes, but at the same time, does he also want his demon side to be discovered? Wait, so he wants to use demon powers without his demon identity being revealed. The old man explains that the only way to do that is to learn how to control that energy inside him. First, he has to be able to control his outward appearance. The protagonist says he'll do anything to learn, but the old man tells him to wait. He lowers his hood and warns him this isn't something you learn in a day. It takes a long time. But if he's really willing, he should come every day at dusk and he'll help him. Back at school, they're talking about how the academy area that got destroyed has been rebuilt. Also, everyone thinks it's weird because all the internet videos disappeared. Yeah, government censorship. Looks like school doesn't matter anymore because after that we're already back with the protagonist leaving the blonde girl's house. She's bossy as always, trying to control his life, wanting to know where he's going. He answers that he's going somewhere. She stands up and tells him to think carefully about where he's going, because he needs to remember he's being hunted. But he says he's sick of just staying there. Thanks her for worrying, but he's leaving anyway. She stares at him and says she doesn't care, he can do whatever he wants. Now we're outside with the old man who tells him to follow. The protagonist looks at the abandoned place and wonders if that's where the training is going to happen. The old man says yes. The less attention they draw, the better. The protagonist thinks the place is going to collapse. Then the old man says it's not exactly there, and shows a secret passage. They go down a staircase, and the protagonist keeps thinking that every place he discovers these days is secret. Then standing in front of a door sealed by a stone, the old man says this is where they'll train. He thought the old man would just punch the stone until it broke, but no. The guy activates an aura, draws some pentagrams or whatever, and the place opens. Seriously, old man, there are a bunch of secret places under the city, and their training is going to be a straight-up, honest 1v1? He thought it was going to be some sitting meditation cultivation thing, but no, they're throwing hands for real. The old man swings his staff at the protagonist. He dodges but notices the old man's staff seems to extend as he attacks. The old man keeps spinning it around, telling him to show what he's got, what he can do. The protagonist locks in, dodges again with a jump, and the old man is impressed. He actually has good reflexes, so now it's a real fight, clean and direct. But the old man realizes there's something strange about him. Unless he's angry, he doesn't seem to have any intention of attacking. But someone who's afraid to hit will never become a warrior. He's going to teach him that today. He rushes in again with a combo. The protagonist dodges, but now he's backed up against the wall. He almost takes a staff strike right to the face. Yeah, watch out for the old man. Jeffrey is out here asking how Sana died. The protagonist tries to explain that she was killed by the Demon King's fighters, but the old man doesn't accept it, saying she was one of the best fighters in the realm. Insects like those guys wouldn't stand a chance against her. What he thinks happened is that Sana sacrificed herself to protect a child who can't even fight. That's what's shameful. That hits a nerve, and the old man keeps going, saying her sacrifice would only be worth something if he wasn't so useless. He goes in to hit him again, but the protagonist's aura activates, and he grabs the old man's staff, saying he gets it. He has to get stronger, because he carries the responsibility of his grandmother's life. The old man is shocked. This kid stopped my staff? Interesting. And he notices he has that icy breathing. Everyone talks about it. It was the mark of the eldest son, so he understands that this is the power Sana brought into this world, and it ended up with this child. It must be connected to that whole thing about him being the key, but we won't find out now, because the next chapter starts with a castle in the middle of a mountain. The story says monsters have long yearned for the human world, but our people have managed to keep them at a distance, and one thing is known: if demons can come to the human world, the reverse can happen too. That's how humans eventually entered that world. But unfortunately, their plan failed. Most humans who went to that other world had their bones completely shattered. The moment they arrived, here comes the twist. The Demon King Kan, who wanted peace, helped a human woman who survived. And that led to something nobody expected. The Demon King and a human fell in love. Like out of nowhere, it turns into a romance. And they had a Baphomet Jr., which has to be our boy, no doubt. A kid who's half monster, half human. The old man is sure this kid is Kan's son. The person Santa saved from that place was this kid. Time passes. It's raining, and the old man is helping the protagonist, sensing his energy from behind. That's exactly what he's doing. And the old man is shocked because his power seems strangely fierce, like energy building up, ready to explode at any moment. He tells the kid he has to always remember to keep that energy inside his body. He's going to help him do a cleansing. Then he smacks him on the back, and the aura starts expanding, circulating around his body. And just like that, the old man seals all his energy. He says this will help him control it for a while. It's better to let the energy leak out and gather somewhere else than to keep trying to suppress it. But besides that, there isn't much more the old man can do. The kid is the one responsible for hiding the power he has, especially the mark he carries. If he can do that, then he'll be able to use an even greater power than he imagines. Looks like we're in the training arc because one training ends and we're already in another, with the old man saying the same thing. He has to learn to control his power. The protagonist is sealing aura into a bottle, and the old man lights incense, saying pain and fear will follow him. He needs to face that and come out on top. Smoke starts taking over the place and the protagonist can't breathe. In the middle of it all, he looks to the side trying to understand what's happening, when suddenly a giant blue hand comes in and yeah, it hits him dead on. It's like Baki fighting his own shadow and getting wrecked. He slams into the wall and it's probably an illusion. The whole place is shaking and the old man looks at his watch and says it started. The kid wakes up thinking whatever hit him hit like a truck, and in front of him there's a literal final boss made of pure mana. But he isn't scared. He says the monster might be big, but he can predict its movements now that the smoke is gone. He'll focus on speed and launch a counterattack. But the second he jumps, the monster appears behind him, and before he can even process it, he gets hit from the back. So it's not that the thing is fast, it's that there are two of them. And he takes one hit and ends up slipping into unconsciousness, wondering if he's still the same Naro as always, getting beaten without being able to do anything. A voice says no, he's going to kill that version. Blue aura starts to appear, and the big monster comes in to throw a punch. Next chapter, he's smashed against the wall, bleeding, but saying it's not over yet. The mana creature comes closer again, but the protagonist seems to be losing consciousness. The creature, seeing he's basically shut down, puts its hand on the kid's head, and then he wakes up next to the old man, who apologizes, saying maybe he shouldn't have pushed him to the limit like that. It's his fault for forcing it, but the protagonist wants to know how something like that happened. What was that? What were those creatures? The old man only says the kid's power went out of control. Then the protagonist suddenly gets emotional, like genuinely sad. I failed again. I'm trash. I'm filthy. I'm good for nothing. The old man agrees, but he tells him not to die because he still has a lot to do in this life. Then the scene changes to a castle, lightning crashing outside, someone by the window saying storms have reached the northern lands. The places where demons can live are getting smaller every day. Food is getting scarcer. More and more demons are being forced to kill each other, and now they're wondering when the day will come that the passage to the human world will open. How long are they going to trust Chen's words? The old man just gives a look and the bald guy apologizes, saying he believes, but then the king orders them to bring Chen there. They're going to talk. Looking out at the horizon, he knows the lands where demons live are becoming desolate. Time is running out. They can't delay this anymore. In front of a vortex of energy, someone approaches Chen and says Kun is looking for him. Now that I remember, Chen is the protagonist's father. Or is Kun his father? The bald guy asks what he's doing there, if there's a problem, anything he can do. But the guy just smiles and says it's nothing serious. The servant can only think that nobody has any idea what that man is thinking. And in all of that, Chen basically says that the way he's acting, being more worried, makes it pretty clear they don't trust him as much anymore. The demon tries to say no, that he does trust him, that he'd never doubt Chen. But Chen answers that he has ears everywhere. He got to where he is today by spilling blood, using a sword, not just talking, and that's why it's better for his friend to be careful not to die. Right then, the demon realizes he just got threatened, lowers his head, and says he'll never forget that again. Water drips into a plate. The protagonist is training for the Olympics, and the student asks what he's going to do. A week has already passed. He's like, what are you even talking about? She says it's been a week that he's been going out every night like a stray cat. So what? He really is a stray kid? Or do you want to be his owner? I'd have answered that like a total Chad, but he insists it's just a simple walk, and she tells that damn Nero to stop pretending. There's a limit to what she can take. Like, kid, do you think you get to boss my guy around? He does what he wants, and he makes it very clear. He doesn't answer, he doesn't care about anything. Then she says she understands things are hard, but there shouldn't be any secrets between them. Suddenly there's relationship drama without even a kiss. It's the worst part of a relationship with none of the good part. What is going on? And he asks, what relationship do we even have? She turns around like, why are you asking that? He kind of implied maybe it's romantic, and I think she got confused. Nothing happened apparently. Because we're back to cave part 2. Hood on his head, he shows up saying he's ready. The old guy is up there like a monkey on a branch, stares at the kid, slams a huge hand on the big piece of wood, and suddenly those soul jars come down. He tells the kid to remember that everything he sees there is made through his power. This test is to make sure he won't lose his mind when he's using that power. Then a blue punch comes flying in from the side of the protagonist, disappears and is already behind the creature. While he's in the air, the old guy is in his ear yelling at him to control that power, thinking it's insane that in just 1 week he's already evolved this much. It was so fast it was starting to make him a little scared. This kind of growth wasn't something to take lightly. Only someone who inherited power that once stood at the top of the world could evolve like that. The protagonist is surrounded by flames on all sides. There's the speed one, the strength one, the ice one, the barrier one, and the hot one, which is the immortal flame. The protagonist says those are manifestations of his power. Like, what do you mean? Explain that properly. But he warns that he's there to destroy them all and dominate them. The immortal one is there with her arms stretched out, sending a flame his way while he takes a quick breath. In the same second, he rushes straight at her, at full speed, saying he has to end this to get stronger. Weirdly, he throws a punch, and the creature seems to fall apart. Except no, he actually opened a hole, and the monster comes in with a hand on his face and says it found him. Then an explosion goes straight into his mouth, and the protagonist gets completely scorched. Even though the creature wasn't dying, he knew there had to be a solution and he was going to find it. The problem is that any slip-up gets him blown up, which drains his energy. The big monster throws another slash toward him. It's like a whip crack that echoes through the whole room. He gets knocked far away and realizes this thing is attacking like it really wants to kill him. But that doesn't make him hesitate. It just makes him want even more to survive this test. He slams the creature, and the old man notices the rhythm is changing. The kid really is starting to control that power. The monster swings its huge arm forward and a crystal storm comes at him, and he puts his hand down to the ground. He makes that barrier, Gon vs. Hisoka style. Then he kicks and breaks everything. Now all that's missing is him hiding among the rocks, popping out from the side, and punching someone in the face. Oh my god, this is straight up Hunter x Hunter fan behavior. He lands a clean hit on Hisoka's face, except not really. And then he notices the creature's crown looks like it's separated from the body, which seems to be the sign that this power became his. He's finally starting to understand what the old man meant about controlling the power and making it his. He punches the ground again, and at the same time there's another creature coming in to hammer him from behind. But then the flames, while also being ice, start expanding in every direction. When the smoke clears, he's standing in the middle of the arena, rising up and looking at his hand. Did the fire go out, or did the ice go out? No idea. But his eyes shut off too. And the old man looks shocked, seeing the entire place taken over by the effect of his power. He's impressed the kid actually pulled it off. Next chapter starts talking about morning training. All the windows and exits were closed, and the goal was to find the shortest route. Luna is there focusing, clapping her hands, glances to the side, and sees the other girl super skinny like a stick. The grandma says the time limit is 60 seconds, and everyone should avoid causing any damage or killing. Luna gets into position. The two are side by side, the start is given, and they take off immediately, both going first. Luna looks like she wants to chat while looking at her friend next to her. They get to the wall, both jump and start climbing. The clueless blonde stops again to talk, saying she got there faster, but the other one is already pulling a move and launching herself upward. Luna realizes the girl isn't going to give up. Meanwhile, downstairs, there's another girl with pink hair saying this is easy for her, until the camera announces that no tools like that can be used. The two are competing, and the guys below are impressed, saying they're exceptional. Even better, they see each other as rivals, but the old man wants to know, what about that boy from before, where is he? The guy with glasses finally gets his name revealed. He's the M1 leader, Jae-hyuk, and Sohwa says there's something they need to see. Walking along, Jae-hyuk tells her that even though the kids are training well, they need high-energy weapons. It's the only way to avoid casualties. Then they pull back a curtain, and I think it's the protagonist's friend who's still passed out. They're surprised he's still recovering. But Sohwa says there's something she wants to check. When they entered that gym, this kid was dead. But when they went to clean up, they detected activity in his chest. That's why they brought him along with the rest. Jae-hyuk, wait, you're saying he's alive now, but he was clearly dead before? And she says yes. If they stop giving him the drugs that keep him asleep, he'll definitely wake up. But it's dangerous because they don't know exactly how he survived that. Yeah, I also thought it was weird he lived after having a crater in his chest. I didn't say anything, but okay. And look, his finger is moving. Is he hearing everything? Another day passes, and our protagonist, as always, goes out at dawn, leaving his wife at home. The old man on the branch is thinking that this time, the power he witnessed went beyond what he could even imagine someone being capable of. And the strangest part is that the kid gained control of it all. Maybe it's time to test that. The protagonist is staring ahead, when suddenly the guy literally throws 4 fidget spinners. This has to be a 2017 story, because there's no way someone still remembers those. The things almost blow the protagonist up, but he looks fine, feet planted. The spinners are bouncing around, spinning, and he has to dodge like they're the biggest threat in the world, which maybe they are. Again, he kicks off the wall, spins out, while the old man watches and says the kid's vision clearly changed. Not only can he dodge, he also gains strength and body control. But right now, he's being targeted by much stronger creatures, so the training has to get more intense. The old man throws like 15 more fidget spinners, everything spinning and exploding against the wall. The protagonist decides he's had enough. He grabs one stuck in the wall, starts spinning it too, and aims it to smash the others, shredding the old man's trees. The old guy is impressed because it almost hit him in the face, but then 4 or 5 more come at the protagonist. Explosion when the smoke clears. They're all stuck in the trees. Then the old man comes down and the protagonist looks impressed by what he's seeing. The old guy starts transforming, saying now that he's reached this level, it's time to learn what real strength is. He basically pulls out steel skin, saying the next challenge is for the protagonist to knock him out. I don't know how I didn't notice the obvious, but the old man is a demon too, one who escaped that world, and he tells the protagonist to hit him with everything he's got. The protagonist with his 16 IQ sees the guy got bigger with silver skin and wonders what kind of power that is. He goes in, punches him in the chest without thinking twice, but his fist just bounces off. The old man says, now it's his turn, and smacks him in the chest with an open palm. The impact blows up the wall behind him. The protagonist gets launched. In a second, the old man is right in front of him, saying now he'll understand the difference between them. Another blast, but the protagonist manages to grab his arm, while the old man tells him to give up, saying he'll never even scratch him. The protagonist who was holding on suddenly loses his grip and the guy grabs his face. The whole place shakes, and a while later the protagonist is there by the destroyed wall. The old man had to step back though. It looks like the protagonist actually crushed his arm a bit, but he warns that now he's going to take it seriously. They stare for a second, both vanish, reappear face to face, punch to punch, a straight-up brawl back and forth. Come on, it's been 10 chapters of leveling up, it's time to get back to the real fight. Long story short, the protagonist gets beat up, then he hits back, and the old man is like, my god, this kid has so much potential. After a bunch of repeated shots of that, the old man is on the ground and the protagonist is farming aura, and the old man thinks, yeah, this kid is basically done. There's nothing else he can help with. Next day, the wife wakes up again with her husband, not at home. But then early in the morning, the guy made breakfast. He's in the kitchen, acting like a whole husband, and she's surprised. She immediately asks what happened. Like, what are you doing making breakfast? Tell me. He says he's been kind of tired these days because of something. She says that's obvious because whatever he's doing, he's going out every night, but he's free to do what he wants. She just wishes he'd value the fact that she worries about him. The protagonist asks, wait, you were worried? She gets embarrassed that she let it slip, and says no, she wasn't worried. It's just that she's worried she'll be affected if something happens to him. He gets awkward and just apologizes for putting her in that situation. He never thought anyone in this world would worry about him. He says the most sad boy line ever, and she's instantly in love in a panel full of flowers. Like literally that XXX10 Tassone laugh energy. And she tells him to shut up and stop it. A while later, they're walking down the street, and he's wondering if Luna saw his mark, because when he was fighting at the academy, it clearly showed up. Then she asks what the difference is between M1 and superhumans and monsters. I think M1 are those high-ranking people from the training group. She explains there are monsters that look human, but when they use their abilities, marks appear. So from the way she says it, the protagonist realizes she either doesn't know about him or she's hiding it. And it seems like M1 are the most trained humans who hunt those marked humans. He remembers the old man warning that those guys won't give up. And now that he's being hunted by demons and maybe by those people too, he should be worried. Luna asks why he's so deep in thought while he's sure there's something the demons want from him that he still doesn't understand. Then he says, before we go to the barracks, there's something I need to take care of. Next chapter starts with him walking, when look who's back. The Eminem-looking guy who already got beat up a bunch of times welcomes Ming, saying he's in the mood for a huge cigar. He needs nicotine, but the kid completely ignores him and just walks off. Eminem realizes his reputation at this school isn't exactly great. Then that other idiot friend shows up and says he's going to show what a top-rank aim looks like. He's going to nail that kid. But the guy up front stops and says, Sang-chun, and Eminem just freezes there. Eminem can't believe the kid is giving him orders. And the kid says he remembers perfectly well what happened. Eminem was shaking like an idiot in front of Nero. It's embarrassing that someone who got beat up like that is trying to act like a top rank now. The kid keeps chewing him out until Eminem suddenly yells that everyone's asking to get beaten up. But now everyone's staring at him, all the nerds, and he's getting scared. Like, sure, you could beat up everyone. Even if the protagonist is right there by the window with his blonde girl and he'll beat you up later. Yeah, there's no way around it, kid. You should probably just give up. The protagonist is in full superhero drama mode, looking at his friends and saying, wow, I'll never be able to live such a peaceful life again. Yeah, right. Like you're not doing just fine with that blonde girl, going everywhere together. Anyway, now we're heading to his old place, his apartment. Luna thinks it's dangerous, but he ignores that and asks if that's where she used to work. She says yes, she worked there for a little while, but it's nothing special. The only thing that ever happened there was that sometimes some entitled students would show up trying to buy cigarettes. Nothing else. The protagonist knows the M1 organization provides financial support, so why was she working here? Was it to keep an eye on him, or was something else going on? Cut to the protagonist arriving at the old apartment. He looks around, nothing unusual. Luna asks why he's standing there like an idiot. He says it's nothing. He's just remembering the old days, and besides, he's there to find something specific. They stare at a door, and the scene cuts to a bunch of open boxes. The protagonist is trying to find whatever it was the demons were looking for that's with his grandma. Yeah, kid, you need to figure out that the thing is you. Meanwhile, Luna looks at a photo of his grandma and says she looks strangely familiar. The protagonist comes back. She asks if he found what was important. He smiles and says they can go back, while thinking, unfortunately, no. Cut to the hospital, where Juninga's waking up. Out of nowhere, the kid has a freak out, sits up in a panic, coughing like crazy, and asks where Naro is. He wakes up asking about his friend. That's a real friend. A little later, they take his blood and tell him to take it easy. He just got up. Meanwhile, Solwak is all excited, saying his blood is extremely important for certain tests. And since he's gonna let them test whatever they want, how about they hand over the information he wants so badly? Junyoung hesitates for a second and asks where exactly he is and where his friend is. Solhwa tells him to focus on recovering first. He doesn't need to worry, soon he'll see the boy. She's all emotional, saying she's happy they both survived. Looks like she doesn't know what happened to him. Cut to him walking through the lab looking for something. He finds a vial, and the girl immediately asks if that's what he's looking for. She's about to say he's acting really suspicious, when she suddenly notices he's really handsome. Then she says that's why she'll warn him. If they find out he came in there, he's screwed. Her name is Jang Se-hee, and she's M1's mascot. She said like 15 lines, and he still hasn't said a word. She's trying to get his name while staring at him like he's glowing. Weirdly, he still doesn't say anything. He just grabs 2 vials and ignores her. When suddenly the doctor shows up and calls out to them, asking what they're doing. She orders them to get out, grabs his arm, but one of the vials falls to the floor. I don't even get what's happening, but the doctor tells Se-hee to disappear and go back to training. He wants to know why his blood is being classified as dangerous. The doctor says fine. She'll explain what happened to him, but first they need to go back to his room. But look at the way he's watching her as she leaves. The second she closes her eyes, a hand goes to her neck, yanks her inside, and blood smears the door. The kid has already stripped her clothes off and he's smiling like a psychopath. Yeah, there's clearly a demon inside this kid. Next scene, the M1 group is talking about Erin, that blue-haired girl. Apparently she got beaten by a guy who just awakened. A blonde guy named Hansong starts mocking her, saying it's ridiculous that she trained for so long and still got beat by someone who just awakened. She completely ignores him. He gets pissed and tells her not to ignore him, then suddenly looks to the side and says they're talking about the demon. Right then, the doors open and the protagonist walks in with his blonde girl. He gives a quick stare and Hansong is smiling, saying he wants to see the power he has with both eyes. Meanwhile, Jang Se-hee is blushing again, saying this one is handsome too. The rest of them know he's the boy from the rumors. From behind the glass up top, someone says it's good to see him there again. Looks like he agreed to take the entrance exam. The protagonist says he'll take the exam if that's what it takes for them to cooperate with him. The old guy doesn't even get it. Cooperate with him? The protagonist explains he has no intention of following anyone's orders, but since they share the same enemy, maybe they can work together. Suddenly, Hansong appears behind him and asks if he really thinks everything's going to go the way he wants. He has no idea how hard everyone there works to protect the city. The protagonist just says that unfortunately his world isn't peaceful either, and he has a lot of problems to deal with. Hansong keeps pushing, saying he needs to learn a lesson so he understands who's in charge there. He teleports down under the glass and asks the captain if he can teach the kids something. The captain immediately approves, telling them to train like it's a real fight. It'll be good if they can finally see the kid fight to win. But the scene cuts to a woman entering a room. She's the first to find the other doctor's mangled body. Back in the arena, Hansong asks if he's sure he doesn't need a weapon. He's going to get brutalized. The protagonist thanks him but refuses. His hands are enough. Se-hee is totally smitten, saying the kid really has a brave aura. She starts rooting for him, while Hansong jokes that he just got there and already has a fan club. Hansong is furious because this kid just arrived and is acting like Oren. But if he takes them both out, his ace position will be at the top. Yeah, he wants the top spot, but right now he's remembering how many times Eren beat him up. No idea what his amazing plan is, but in the same second he teleports and appears behind the protagonist. He leans in and whispers, asking what he thinks of that speed. When the protagonist turns, Hansong is already in shadow clones all around him, saying he must have realized it's impossible to see him. He goes in to throw a punch, then the protagonist, like it's nothing, lands a clean hit right in the middle of his head. Hansong faceplants, and the protagonist, completely bored, eyes half closed. Solho asks if the kid really attacked with his eyes closed. The old guy says, when someone moves too fast, vision can get in the way more than it helps. But obviously closing your eyes to focus and still hit a target like that isn't easy either. The kid awakens some kind of sixth sense that's stronger than his eyesight. Meanwhile, the protagonist notices the mark didn't appear this time. He's confident he'll be able to control it, meaning pretty soon he's going to lose control. Eren, watching from the side, wonders if this kid has changed since the last time they met. While all that's going on, Taro Junyoung is standing by the door just listening. Seriously, why aren't you running? Aren't you the demon? And then another victim shows up calling for him, asking what he's doing there and why there's blood on his clothes. The kid turns around and the guy notices he's wearing someone else's badge. How dumb can you be? You could have flipped the badge around, genius. But the kid's smile disappears. Cut to that underworld guy holding a little dragon in a jar, yelling, "Ugh, it's pregnant. That's disgusting." The guy is smiling and suddenly a monster comes out of the creature's belly. It's vile. He says controlling someone's mind and body is the greatest horror of all. And right now the shadows are waiting. When darkness falls, they'll start moving. Back in the arena, everyone's telling Hansong not to get up, and he's being carried out on a stretcher. The protagonist glances back while Luna tells him not to worry. He'll be healed by the medical team soon, or he'll get eaten too. Eren laughs at Luna, saying it's funny she's worried about an enemy. The two start trading jabs again when someone approaches the protagonist from behind and says that was impressive. It's Jae-hyuk, saying the kid must have some kind of psychic ability. If he goes through their systematic training, before he can finish, an intruder alert starts blaring. Everyone panics. That should be impossible, because the security at the entrance is insane. In theory, there shouldn't be any monster inside. Nero wonders if some kind of creature actually followed him in. The base leader yells for everyone to take combat positions. The protagonist says he can join the fight too, but the guy asks him to help evacuate all the civilians, because his presence would just get in the way. People wouldn't be able to act freely since he's not part of the team. Luna says it's best to take him outside the base since he doesn't have an entry-exit record, and she'll have to help him. Meanwhile, Seihi is yelling that she'll take the handsome guy. In the chaos, Sale calls for the boss, saying they need urgent help, and the guy rushes out. Seihi clings to the protagonist and tells him not to worry, she'll protect him. Everyone's running around trying to figure out who triggered the alarms. Then they find another dead body, and they're sure someone really is inside. Cut to the protagonist with the girl asking if there's ever been an invasion there. She tells him to relax because she's protecting him. But no, there's never been an invasion before. The protagonist is shaken. If there's never been an invasion, why would it happen today, the day he shows up? And of course, by that mandatory protagonist coincidence, he runs straight into his old friend. Instantly, he's like, my god, my best friend. He runs over and hugs him tight. Then Seihi barges in, thinking there's a romance happening between them. She folds her arms and says she wants to be part of this relationship between handsome men. Meanwhile, in the security room, they're reviewing all the footage. They finally find the moment he killed the guy in the hallway. The old man pulls the classic, zoom in, more, and they see his face. The good part is they know who it is. The bad part is that right now he's with Seihi and the protagonist, who just brought everyone to a security room in Sector 1, where supposedly nobody would be attacked. Seihi suddenly says she's going to get water and leaves. Then Junyoung looks at the protagonist and says he's fine, but Naro thinks it's weird. His friend was supposed to be getting treated at the hospital. What is he doing in the M1 area? Junyoung ignores the protagonist and just says he's happy to know they both survived that chest wound. The protagonist gets thoughtful. Yeah, it really is unreal. He goes to thank his friend, saying that from now on he'll protect him forever. But even as he says it, he's wondering if he can really protect his friend, and his friend isn't helping at all. Maybe it's an illusion, but he gets right up in Naro's face, asking if he really thinks he can protect him. That hits the protagonist like a shock. Right then, Sephi comes back with some water, while the protagonist looks crushed. Back in the camera room, they finish reviewing everything and realize the kid is in the security zone. The chief comments that if he's not mistaken, that's where Sephi took Tado Nero. The moment they turn on the camera, the sweet trio is right there. But it looks like something went wrong. What he's saying is, let's send a few squads over there. Except in the security room. Once you go in and press the button, nobody else can enter. Super convenient, huh? The three of them lock themselves in a room where nobody can do anything. So how are they supposed to get out? Probably someone inside has to press the button to open it, I'm guessing. While they're stuck in that mess, inside, Sephi is having fun being right between the two guys. But she notices that after she came back, the vibe doesn't feel the same as before. Did they start competing while she was gone, trying to see who'd get access to her sexy body? What the hell? Yeah, that girl is not okay. Forget her, leave that crazy one alone. She starts wondering which one she likes more. Maybe the serious guy. That's when she notices the serious guy, Junyoung, has blood on his coat. And on top of that, he's wearing doctor clothes. None of it makes any sense. When she goes to ask about the blood, he cuts her off and says it's from earlier, when the vial fell on the floor. He puts a hand on her shoulder and says they already got in trouble because of that, so how about they just forget it and drop it? Looks like he used some kind of intimidating aura, because she freezes up. But the protagonist immediately grabs his hand and tells him to calm down. Why is he acting like a different person? Why is he suddenly acting like this and staring at her out of nowhere? Then Juning pulls out this creepy smile. He can't even hide how evil he is, and it becomes crystal clear to the protagonist that something is seriously wrong with this guy. Before he can do anything, one of the doctors nearby says they should go to room number 2, and then out of nowhere, a hologram of the boss appears, warning them that the intruder is right in front of them. It was Juning. The second the protagonist hears that and looks at Sihine, Juning is already coming in to smash her in the head. The poor girl is totally spaced out. If the protagonist hadn't rushed in and grabbed his arm, she would have been done for. The protagonist demands he answer who he is, but Juning just keeps smiling like a maniac, and the only thing the protagonist is sure of is that this isn't his friend. That's when Sihai decides to go on the offensive. She comes in with Vi-style fists and throws a huge punch. It looks like it lands clean, but the guy disappears. Even the people watching the cameras couldn't see what happened, and they figure it's probably the same monster that invaded the school that day. Right then, the woman is sure that creature has parasitized Junyoung. They ask how she knows, while Jahyuk already believes it, and says that if the creature really is parasiticizing him, then they need to be careful around everyone. The problem is, they've now brought something that dangerous right into the middle of the base. Still, Jahyuk seems confident Nero will be able to handle it. Back in the fight, Junyoung shows up in front of Seihi again. Before the protagonist can do anything, Junyoung laughs and hits her dead center. The protagonist goes to hit back, but Junyoung disappears again. What a bastard. Then suddenly the protagonist hears his friend's voice crying for help, and Nero starts wondering, if he kills this demon now, won't he be killing his friend's body too? Meanwhile, the demon appears again in front of them, laughing, saying he really is suffering a lot. The protagonist is about to get hit, when suddenly Seihi comes up from behind Junyoung. He's forced to back off, but the protagonist still doesn't know how he's going to solve this. Then he remembers. When he hugged Junyoung, there was also a creature that came out of the shadows. That's how they both got pierced. Now he's sure. considering that crater in his friend's chest. He didn't survive. In fact, the only reason he's standing there at all is because the demon took over his body, meaning Nero can't hesitate if he wants to deal with him. So he jumps and destroys the only light in the room. The people watching obviously can't see anything now. So what do? Help in the fight or just wait? So has no idea. Inside the room, the protagonist is sure. If the demon can move through shadows, then you just remove all the shadows and he'll be stuck. But the demon laughs, saying the kid is delusional if he thinks he can beat him in the dark. He even says he lied to his friend when he claimed he could protect her. The protagonist ignores everything he says and remembers the fight against Hansong, when he closed his eyes and felt the mana expanding inside the guy's body. And then he comes in with that burning eye focus. While the idiot thinks it's impossible to locate him, a fist comes out of the shadows right next to him and nails him straight in the mouth. He stumbles, trying to understand how he was seen, and the protagonist is already on him again. Full-on JoJo-style combo. Clean, brutal hits to the stomach, the mouth, the face, then he gets launched away. Junyoung gets up, asking if he's really going to kill his friend. The protagonist tells him to stop the act. It's obvious his friend is already dead. Then he lets out that Goku scream, and his aura, this mix of fire and ice, starts expanding. Junyoung wants to know how some random kid can control power like that. The protagonist basically tells him, stop right there. Then he fires off that icy fire barrage that turns him into a popsicle, and right after that, he blows him up. Since the power was basically pure glitter, it looks like the cameras actually caught something that time because the woman is shocked. The protagonist thinks it's sad that he had to erase his friend's body like that, but that person wasn't the same anymore. Coincidentally, right then the door opens and everyone starts coming into the room. The whole place looks like it's snowing. Jae-hyuk asks if everyone's okay. The protagonist, as always, Mr. Doesn't Waste Words, walks out without saying a single thing. But now everyone's curious, so they head into a meeting to figure out what happened. First, they were already sure. When they found Junyoung's body, he was dead. It was probably in the time between them going in to retrieve the body that something took control and made him look alive. Seo-hwa apologizes. She should have realized, but her greed was bigger. She considered that possibility, but figured it would be a great chance to get a blood sample from someone controlled by a demon. So yeah, she knew it was an option and still decided to let it happen. They want to know why the demon chose to possess that specific guy. Jae-hyuk says that from what he heard, Junyoung was Naro's friend. Even if they don't know why, it's obvious the demons are interested in Naro. While they're in the meeting talking about him, he goes home alone asking himself again, why are demons following him? Right when he's thinking that, Aaron shows up and asks why he hesitated to kill that creature. The golden saliva guy thinks the question doesn't even make sense, so he saves his words again, just ignores her and walks past without saying anything. But she's not letting it go. She grabs his arm and tells him to answer. Everyone knew it was a demon in that body, so why did he back off like that? The protagonist yanks his arm free and is ready to smack her in the mouth until his wife shows up and tells Aaron to stop messing with him. She should know how hard it was for Nero to face someone who used to be his best friend. Aaron says it doesn't matter. The person who didn't do anything in the fight is the one talking. She says that at the M1 agency, hesitation can cost everyone their lives. The protagonist doesn't care about their argument, and once again walks away without saying anything. But at the same time, he's hurting. He didn't like killing his friend with his own hands. Meanwhile, in the analysis room, they're trying to understand what happened in that fight. After everything went dark, suddenly a blue flame expanded, and that's when it ended. Jae-hyuk comments that it's weird because there wasn't any fire there, and Seol-hwa is just as lost as we are, saying it's strange because the video shows an explosion. But when they entered, everything felt cold and frozen. She thinks for a second and says the only way that would be possible is if Nero had some kind of magic that's like freezing fire, which obviously makes no sense. But she also thinks it's kind of impossible. Nobody's ever heard of a human with 2 elemental abilities. While they're talking about him, he goes to see the old man. He tells him everything that happened, including that he killed Junyoung. Now we find out the old man's name is Muzan, and he says there's something strange about the kid. Every time he kills a demon, another one shows up. The protagonist agrees. He wants to know why, how long it's going to keep happening, and what the reason behind all of it is. The old man says, all right then, it's time for him to learn the truth. Suddenly he stands up and bows to the protagonist, who's just standing there like, what is happening? The old man says that in the past he was a soldier of Khan, and since the boy is Khan's son, he has to show him respect. The protagonist is confused. Wait, what do you mean I'm Khan's son? So the old man tells him about when the demon land was destroyed by war. Khan's brother couldn't accept that Khan was marrying a human woman, so he started a war against the castle to take everything, and the whole army was brought in. Both sides' troops plus the 2 brothers went into battle. Khan, even though he was the strongest, wasn't as cunning as his brother, who used all kinds of dirty strategies. With no chance of winning, the soldiers who survived managed to escape and fled to the human world. The only lucky thing is that they found Sana, who was the protagonist's grandmother, and then he returned to the human world with her. Bottom line, Nero is the son of the former demon king, and even crazier, he carries the blue flames, a force considered legendary among demons and the symbol of succession to the throne. The protagonist says his grandmother never told him any of this. The old man explains it was to keep him from getting dragged into all this. But now that he's awakened, there's no going back, and he needs to understand he's being hunted, because the demons don't just want to stop him from taking the throne. They also want to steal his power. The responsibility is huge, because the boy is carrying the fate of 2 races. The protagonist is out running in the rain, thinking about everything the old man said, and we see that on the night the castle was completely destroyed, His mother also turned to ashes. Back with the old man, he says that his mother apparently took her own life and Santa brought him to this world, all to delay the war and keep him from dying. That's why he, the former general of that world, is in the human world too. And the truth is, Nero's power is the key to reopening that interdimensional portal. If he gets captured, the creatures living in the other world will gain access to his planet. So the protagonist understands he's the key to saving this world and also to destroying it. The power he's trying to master is the same power that in theory could bring about the end of the planet. Meanwhile, in the Demon Kingdom, they're all watching the door that seems to be resonating. The king says it's happening because the person has fully awakened, and now he wants to know what Chen is doing, why he still hasn't finished his mission. Meanwhile, Chen is there as always, staring at the sea. He's always just standing around like he does nothing with his life, but he's thinking that the precious child finally woke up. Then we see, back in the past, the day the woman Nero's mother entrusted her son to Santa. But strangely, she went up to this big-headed kid who was holding another baby too. Everyone's got babies, like demons are just mass-producing them. And she told him that the moment she left, he had to run away with his sister and not look back. She hugs him and leaves. And oh, that kid is Chen. And he started hating humans because he was abandoned by his mother who left to save the son she had with a human woman. The poor kid tried to find her, but it was too late. He screams desperately. And from that day on, he never saw her again. That's why he stands there waiting for that door to open so he can go look for her again. Bad news, she's dead. It's over. And where's that baby? Who did that baby grow up to be? Back with the king, a servant says they looked for Chen but couldn't find him. The king just orders them to prepare all the strongest ones because the time has come. They needed to take advantage of it before the rift closed for good. The servant says it's risky. Everyone, including the king, could end up dying. But the king says that either way they're all going to die there, so this is an absolute order. The servant says it's fine, he'll obey while boiling with rage, thinking it's all that damn Chen's fault. The scene cuts to the past. Two demons in golden armor look back and see Chen arriving with his older little sister. They tell him to get lost, but the kid lets out a loud shout like he's not scared at all, until he gets kicked hard in the chest. The servant steps out of the tent asking what's going on, and the guys greet him. They explain there's a crazy kid there yelling and trying to fight. The servant asks who the boy is, and they say he looks like a war orphan, someone who should be kicked out soon or killed. But then the servant asks if the boy intends to become a soldier. If he wants to live there, that's the only way. And if he's going to live there, he has to be ready to die for the king and make any sacrifice. He says that while looking at the sister, like what? Does he want the kid to kill the girl? The kid is obviously shocked. He's not just going to kill her out of nowhere. So the servant walks off saying it's clear the boy isn't fit for the battlefield. Time passes, it won't stop snowing, and after a long time the kid comes back furious with tears in his eyes crying. Did the sister die? Did he kill her? No idea. But the servant says he's always hated that weird kid. Then we see that every time Chen tries to cross from the demon world to the human world, vines grab his foot and drag him back. After getting pulled back, he remembers the day he abandoned his sister. Dude, you left your sister in the forest so you could become a soldier. Same thing his mom did when she told him to wait. But he didn't. He just kept running. Top tier family, everybody abandoning everybody to die, beautiful. But with all that rage from those memories, it looks like he might actually be pushing past the barrier. And that girl really looks like Luna, doesn't she? No wonder she's strong. Back with the protagonist in the human world, he's there like always, thinking he needs to get even stronger. Turns out the responsibilities on him were bigger than he thought. After training all night, he goes home and sees his wife exhausted on the couch. She tells him to rest because tomorrow they have to go to the base, but he wants to know more about her. What was that story she told at the beginning about being his protector? She completely ignores him, learned that move from him and says she's going to sleep, and he just accepts it. Apparently the secret technique that always works in this world is don't answer, just walk away. At the base the next day, Setri is there again acting weird, trying to cling to him, but she gets blocked. The guy is married to the blonde, have some respect. Then the base director shows up and orders Setri to get back to her area. Luna is pissed that this girl keeps hitting on poor Han Nero, until Salowa tells Luna to go to the training room too and leave Han Nero alone. Luna hesitates, saying the protagonist isn't registered, and she needs to stay close to protect him, but the boss angrily tells her to obey. The protagonist puts a hand on her shoulder and tells her to relax. They'll talk later. Luna is sure he's being taken for some kind of test. Poor guy is about to get put through the system. Fingerprints, blood, DNA, eye scan, everything. Right after that, the boss says they need his biometric info so he can watch YouTube videos. The protagonist asks why. Is there something special about him? Did they find something interesting? So Xiaoma just laughs and says he's very powerful and very healthy. Nothing unusual. His routine is always the same. Mornings at the base, nights talking with the old man who asked the protagonist to call him Muzin from now on, and he warns him to get ready, because the demons are gathering soldiers to cross into this world. Sooner or later, the war is going to happen, and when it starts, the old man swears he'll be by the protagonist's side. Wow, since when did you start promising that? Right after that, in another part of the city, a red circle appears in explosion, and look who shows up, Shen, all beat up. Worst part is, if he goes after his sister, she's with our guy. Meanwhile, at the Demon King's base, the cities are getting emptier and emptier. Lack of resources is destroying everyone's lives. On top of that, there's some strange energy making everyone who heads toward the forest disappear. A demon wonders if it has something to do with the king gathering forces, or if it's connected to the old king. He orders the army to check the forest, saying the people who vanished can't be far. Meanwhile, in the human world, there's a couple chatting, a little butterfly flying by, and suddenly Shen grabs it. Got it. Blue butterflies are spies from the demon kingdom. He immediately orders a hooded human to find Luna. We cut to Luna being chased, but she senses the presence. Her plan is to lure him somewhere isolated. Girl, normally you run toward people. And totally by coincidence, the protagonist is on a bus passing by at that exact moment. Of course he gets that bad feeling. Something's about to happen. He hits the stop button to get off, and the scene switches to an abandoned place. The hooded guy is walking when something comes down from above. He almost gets smashed in the head, but the snake-like guy whips out his tail. Luna demands to know why some bastard is following her. The creature says it's obvious he's there to capture her. She tries to run, but he grabs her arm. He crushes it, and she starts getting drowsy. But hold on, this is the first time she's awakening her power too. Everyone's a demon in this story. Claws start appearing, snake style. What is this? The snake lunges in to bite, and Luna dodges to the side, starts summoning those lines, traps the thing, clamps its mouth, pulls the cords. Its whole body gets immobilized. She jumps in to try to tear it apart, but the lines start coming undone. Now the snake goes for another huge bite. She barely stops the teeth, but one of them manages to touch her arm. She's about to head back to base to recover when the protagonist shows up. He's in shock. He just found out his wife has 9 tails. She says she'll explain, but at the same time she doesn't know if she'll survive. The protagonist kicks the snake guy away so he can escape. The snake slams into the ground and realizes something is off about this kid. The creature tries to dive away and escape. Luna tries to cast something, but her arm is infected and she can't do anything. He tells her to wait and the scene cuts. They're already home. He wraps her arm and she hides the tails. Then he asks the obvious question, "You're my wife, you keep pushing me to leave, but you're a demon and you never told me anything." And if she is, that means she also knows about him, so she hid everything. She reveals it started back in school when she saw that medicine on the ground. That's when she found out. The protagonist, furious, stands up and says it's ridiculous. She knew all this time and never told him. She talked about him being able to trust her, but apparently it was all a lie. He freaks out, completely stunned. She tries to explain, saying she just wanted him to believe she was on his side for real, like his mother. The protagonist is confused. Then she reveals the M1 department has been at war with demons for a long time. And like he probably suspects, Jae-hyuk is the one organizing everything so they can defend themselves. Recently, they managed to send some spies over there. One of those spies got captured and became the demon's wife. That spy was the boy's mother. With that cute marriage, they thought peaceful coexistence might be possible, especially because a child was born with blood from both races. Countless people tried to kill the kid, but somehow he survived. Even so, the queen knew that with so many attempts, he wouldn't live long. That's when she created an organization to protect him, Blue Butterfly. And Luna was part of it, and she has something important to show him. In a video from the base facilities, the boss walks up to a certain area, disappears for an hour and a half when the camera cuts out, then shows up walking like nothing happened. There were probably M1 secrets stored there that even she didn't know. The protagonist says that's extremely important. They should go there right now and see what's happening. She says it's impossible. The two of them can't handle something like that. But the protagonist seems to have a plan. Then the scene cuts back to the snake guy, reporting that he failed again. Now that I think about it, this poor demon fails every single plan. Nothing ever works. But Chen is now sure the kid already knows he's the key, and it's only a matter of time until they meet again. Sunny day, Sehi clinging to our guy's arm and messing around with Hansong's face. As always, the place is a mess and they're having fun. One second they're joking around, the next they're hunting for that secret base. They walk through the corridors trying to look totally normal, until they find the door where he disappeared. They put a hand on it and something opens. Luna is shocked at how easy it was, and then they come face to face with an eye in a tube. They're both wondering what that thing is. While they're looking through M1's information, Chen finds a photo file of the protagonist's grandmother. The protagonist finds info about Hai Yong, his mother, an M1 agent who went to the other world. And Chen finds info about the protagonist's grandmother too, who was Chen's mother. It's kind of confusing, but in the middle of all that, both of them feel something strange, and the protagonist turns around. Yeah, nothing suspicious, breaking into a secret base and chatting like it's normal. Of course, Jae-hyuk. Wait, no. I thought the old man had already found out and was about to show up and catch them, but actually he's just there grabbing some files while the protagonist and his wife are up in the ducts watching everything. The old man takes the files he wants and walks out, and Luna asks how long they're going to stay up there. She's struggling, and now she's suddenly shy. We're breaking into a government secret facility, and she's blushing, because the guy is pressed up against her. They're doing that thing about to get closer, when he reaches over and moves her hair. Meanwhile, it feels like there's airflow up there, and the director seems to catch a scent. He starts wondering who entered that room. Looks like they followed the ducts and found another medical area. Inside, an older woman is asking Erin if she's feeling okay with the higher doses. The two of them don't understand what they're talking about. Then the woman injects something and tells her to remember. If she feels anything different, anything unusual, she needs to report it. Back at home, the protagonist tells Luna he thinks he understands what they're doing. Erin was being trained to go through the same process his mother did. She was going to be sent as a spy to the demon world. Yeah. While you're dealing with that, Chen is starting to track you down. Then the building security guard finds him, shines a light on him, asks what he's doing, walks closer, and then, scene change. The guy is dead. Poor dude. He was just doing his job. Meanwhile, in the demon world, there are chained creatures, weird things being thrown into the portal. Looks like they're trying to increase its size, but one of them breaks free, snaps the restraints, and charges the guards, except King De-yum is already there. He's furious, demanding to know why the number of soldiers isn't increasing. One demon is scared to say it, but it seems like people are running to the forest to join Chen's resistance. The king grabs him by the throat, holds him over the vortex, and orders him to explain. Why aren't there enough creatures to open this portal? They were supposed to keep bringing in more monsters, even stronger ones, so this could end for good. The servant is kneeling, saying the moment is coming, they're about to succeed. Next chapter, somewhere random, a woman asks if they've contacted him. Does he know if what Muzin said is true? So they're friends of the old man. The guy asks what she's talking about, and she says she means the rumor going around that the king's son is alive. When he's about to answer, his lighter suddenly falls to the ground, and then someone in the middle of that hallway says the rumor is interesting. When they look up, it's Chen staring them down. He instantly teleports right in front of both of them, and asks if this is some kind of fugitives meeting. They immediately try to run. She starts climbing the wall, and the other one bolts the other way. The kid can't even understand how they got found. Chen says they've got way too much time on their hands to be worrying about something like that. Flames start spreading through the corridor, and he knows he has to find a way out as fast as possible. But Chen's fire slices through like a blade and cuts his arm off. Chen walks up and says it's awful to see they still can't recognize him, even though he's disguised as a demon. Then he tells him to remember the name Chen. The guy knows Chen is the king's right-hand man, so what is he doing here? The only thing he's sure of is that if it really is him, he has no chance. So what does he do? He activates his power and decides to attack anyway. Chen just hits him with one clean strike and he slams into the wall. Then Chen tells him to explain more about that rumor, that the king's son is still alive. The poor guy tries to say he doesn't know anything and starts yelling for help. But right then a metal beam comes flying in from behind. It looks like he gets crushed, and the pointy-eared girl up above wonders if she managed to kill him. Obviously not. Out of the smoke comes a rain of fiery flashes. She panics, everything explodes, and Chen is standing there untouched. He jumps, climbs up, and when he reaches the top, there's nothing. He sees blood on the door and follows the trail down the stairs. Then the scene cuts to a guy putting up a cone and saying it's a restricted area. The cop is wondering who could destroy an entire city just by driving. When he looks back, there's a massive crater, and it sounds like something is coming from inside, so he walks closer to check. Then a demon rushes him and bites his head clean off. The other one tries to call for help, but the monster comes in and slams him into the ground with one crushing hit. The whole population is in shock, but those hellish locust things just keep pouring out. Meanwhile, back at the M1 base, the alarm goes off. Seichi is hyped, saying she finally gets to use all that training. The protagonist is sure the alarm means there are creatures in the middle of the city. Something big is about to go down. A student comes to warn him the request for help wasn't meant for them. They're not the main squad. He says he's going anyway. She says the order is for him not to go, but he answers that this is his job, and he knows the world ends if he does nothing. And it's already starting, because people are getting eaten everywhere, full Attack on Titan vibes, while the whole city gets demolished. The M1 group arrives by helicopter and immediately realizes this looks a lot harder than what they trained for. Sentry just closes her eyes, takes a deep breath, and tells them to get ready. Then she jumps and everyone goes with her. Next chapter, I'm kind of confused because it starts with the old man down, Chen looking over the city, and everyone screaming that they can't stop the monster. There's a fanged one with a huge mouth firing power at Arene, and she's thinking there's no way she can hold out. When it goes in for the final bite, the protagonist shows up and stomps on its head. I think that's what happened because it felt like a little spoiler. And then the next scene goes back to the moment when the monsters, one big mouth one, were coming out of the hole. Someone walks up saying the place is disgusting. I thought it was going to be someone with some swagger, but it's just Han Song. Poor guy barely does anything. Still, let's have a little faith in him. He uses his technique, cuts off an arm, and starts feeling himself. Then someone on comms tells him to take the battlefield seriously. The creature slams the ground, but when the smoke clears, it can't see anything, and then a line appears across its head. The guy nobody believed in is out here getting the first kill. Put some respect on his name. He says this is actually more boring than training. Somewhere else, Selly is throwing heavy punches into the monster's chins and acting confident, shouting from a distance that she's going to be top 1 in the rankings. But then she notices something weird. The monster is still twitching, so she apologizes for leaving it alive and blasts it again to finish it off. The problem is, they killed 2, but a ton of creatures are still coming out of the hole. On the team comms, they're saying numbers 2 and 3 are handling things without trouble. Where's number 1? Arun says she's right there with 5 in front of her. Someone asks if she can handle it, and she cuts them off and says obviously. The monsters keep crawling out, drooling, while others look like they're burning on the ground like a titan. Eren jumps up into the air, brings her arms together. A purple aura builds up, and she fires a bunch of, I don't know, like spiritual fire shots? I thought she was about to do something flashier, but that's what it is. It rains down on the monsters and they all die. She has aerokinesis, which is like mixing air with telekinesis. She says it makes sense that her friend is the ace, while Han Song says he's also getting a lot of kills. Then comms say another team is coming to help, so they can pull back for now. Eren walks up to the hole and looks down. This invasion was way too dumb, so it's obvious they had another objective. She has this feeling it's not over. Her friends start yelling for her to come on and stop stalling. They start counting, and she turns around like, fine, I'm coming. Looks like it's over, and she'll have to wait and see what happens next. With how many they killed, it should be enough. The moment she says that, a creature appears behind them. The two of them freeze, and someone says they've never seen anything like it. and the thing goes in for a bite. But then the scene cuts to someone checking their phone and seeing an evacuation message. There's a group out on the street wondering if there's going to be an earthquake or something, but the one person who knows what's really going on knows it's not an earthquake at all. It's Muzan nearby. Everything is a mess and nothing feels right. What's the meaning behind all this? He's asking himself the same thing. The only thing he's sure of is they'll have to speed up the plan. He looks at a door, walks up to the handle, and asks if someone is breaking in. I'm confused too, but he says he doesn't feel anyone's presence. Then he finds Hannah completely wrecked. He kneels down asking what happened, but she only tells him to run. She's the girl who fought Chen at night and managed to escape, and now she's warning him that Chen came back looking for the king's son. Muzan is shocked Chen is acting on his own. He tries to heal her, but she says he doesn't have time. The only thing she wants to know before she dies is whether that person really is the king's son. Why does it matter so much? She's about to die. Muzan yells yes, he is. He's the king's oldest son and the true king of everyone. It looks like she dies happy. I didn't fully get it, but it clearly matters a lot. People really love the king, and she's glad she found out before dying. The next chapter starts with the creature completely defeated. Looks like Eren killed another big one that showed up, right? Even though we know she wouldn't be able to? Wait, hold on. This series confuses me sometimes. The monster is dead because I think the protagonist already arrived. They just didn't show him coming in. Basically, when that big one came out of the hole, the protagonist showed up, killed it, and now say he is clinging to him. A student walks up, calls out to Eren, and tells her to be more careful because it's dangerous. From that low angle, the girl looks strong, but Eren slaps her hand away and says she can handle herself. The blonde thinks Eren always acts like that. Eren walks off pissed. A little later, the medics arrive and start collecting bodies. The protagonist turns to leave and the blonde says, well, looks like it's handled. Let's go back. Then Nero says, no way. That was only the beginning. Back with Muzan, he's warning someone that Chen has arrived. He's talking with the demons there, and they know Chen was the king's right-hand man. They immediately ask if this has anything to do with what happened in the city. Muzan says probably. Chen is known as the strongest in the demon realm right now. It's inevitable that the tragedies and the nightmare from the past will repeat. The city will be filled with lifeless, burning bodies. The whole place will turn into a new hell. And that's why today, once again before he can even finish, everything starts collapsing. The ground breaks apart, and he says they're about to experience hell right there. An explosion blows open the cave ceiling. Sunlight pours in, and Muzan says that once again he'll have to defend his ideals. He's coordinating the demons, and then through the smoke, Chen shows up. He thanks them all for gathering, because now he doesn't have to hunt them down one by one. Obviously they don't stand a chance, but they rush in anyway, just to see how strong Chen really is. Everyone attacks, grabbing arms, grabbing his torso. Coming from every side, one of them yells they'll never give up. Then a red slash cuts across his face and a light expands. He gets thrown back, explosions everywhere, demon bodies flying. Someone is already burned to a crisp, while Chen is still standing there untouched. The guy tries to ask how that happened, and in the next second, Chen is bouncing from neck to neck, ripping through everyone. He spins his blade, builds up that aura, then slams it down and sends flames toward the two who are down. But someone tanks it. Give him credit. It's Muzan, stretching his arms out. Chen says Muzan's steel is strangely weak, but then he recognizes that power. Was Muzan part of the commander's army? Before Muzan can answer, Chen is already right in his face, saying it's a shame because now he's in a bad spot. Chen throws 2 slashes while the old man says he'll be going back to that hell soon. Chen doesn't care. He wants to know where the damn key is. Muzan blocks with his elbow, and Chen presses him. Answer me. Where's the key? Muzan can't believe this kid is pushing him back with raw strength. Then the ground shakes and a wall rises up between them, like something out of Gaara. It's the people behind them launching another attack from Chen's blind spot. Chen just turns and says, they're nothing but insects. On the other side, Muzan hears everyone getting completely wiped out. Someone screams about a promise he made, telling him to run, and then Chen blows the wall apart. But the old man is already gone, and then out of nowhere there's this blonde kid trying to play hero, grabbing Muzan's shirt. Who even is this blonde kid? He's acting brave and I respect it, but he literally just got there and done. Dead. And just like Chen is killing people without caring, we don't really care about him either. Next chapter, Chen is walking back and forth, dragging his sword along the ground. People in the city think he's some crazy cosplayer trying to look cool, like they're filming a movie or something, and someone calls him disgusting. Chen immediately smiles and says he won't chase them anymore. Why would you say that, Chen? A kid is there on his phone, just playing Genshin Impact, when suddenly everything changes. Chen decides that if they're going to try to run from him, he'll force them to hunt him instead. It's honestly a pretty foolproof plan, because the old man is running through the forest right now, thinking about that blonde kid who made Muzan promise that even if everyone lost their lives, he'd make sure the king would be defeated. Meaning he'd make sure our protagonist becomes the new king, I guess. Muzan knows Chen is looking for Hanoro. He needs to get as far away as possible, but the explosions make it obvious Chen is killing a lot of people. Still, the old man doesn't even focus on that. Maybe Chen forgot there are only demons in this world. Muzan is more worried about finding Nero and protecting him. A lot of people are going to die either way, especially if demons take over this world. And now that they have someone with the power to stop all of it, they can't lose him. I respect the old man, he made the most logical choice, but at the same time, he's shaken because families are getting wiped out in the city. And Chen is walking through the bodies saying this species is insignificant, weak, and useless. Even though he's just one person, he's going to spill the blood of this entire world. And those humans are going to pay for the childhood he had for turning his life into hell. Kid, you already came from hell. Your life was going to be hell either way. There's some poor guy trying to hide down there under a car, acting like he can't see anything. But Chen just turns and boom, throws the truck to the side. The kid starts shaking, but Chen doesn't hesitate for a second. He stretches out that huge sword and goes to whip him with it. But then suddenly, oh no. Yeah, I praised him way too early. The old man came back and ordered him to stop right now. I lost all respect the moment I complimented the guy for making the logical choice. Even Chen celebrates, saying Muzan finally came back, and the old man is over there giving a speech. You're too cruel. How dare you use humans as bait? Chen just spreads his arms and says it's their fault. Everyone dying here is dying because they're weak. The old man, furious, jumps at him, saying that doesn't give him the right to take so many lives. Chen answers that if he doesn't want people to die, then he should stop him. Next scene, we're back with the protagonist watching everyone head to the car. Luna turns and warns that someone is chasing the so-called blue butterfly. It's hard to explain, but she heard Ken is forcing an opportunity to show up. Looks like a mobilization is about to start on the general's orders. Basically, the demons are coming. Let's keep it simple. The protagonist is sure this has something to do with the monsters showing up. While the two of them are in that romantic couple talk, Aren is just off to the side staring. Then, out of nowhere, Jaehyuk shows up and says that 4 kilometers south, a Code 9 situation happened. Yeah, it's the Chen thing, obviously. An act of terrorism, and he's fighting the old man. And all agents are supposed to move there immediately. Well, the guy's plan worked because the protagonist is going. Hans is sure that whatever that creature was in the video is on a completely different level from the others. He is sure the human-type demons are the strongest. Luna looks kind of curious, but the protagonist is scared and shaken. Suddenly, he takes off running, and he yells, asking why he's sprinting like that. Hans even thinks he's running because he's afraid. Luna says she's going with him because it looks dangerous. The protagonist says they have to run to save Muzan. He remembers everything he went through with the old man. He's about to say it's important, but Luna cuts him off, saying she knows. Muzan might be important to him, but he has to remember that to the M1 group, Muzan was nothing but a monster. Then Luna tells him to take her hand so they can get there before M1, because otherwise Muzan will get attacked by the heroes. In theory, I don't get it. Does she fly or something? She held his hand like she was going to pull him. How does she speed up? What's the deal with her power? Cut back to the fight and everything is completely destroyed. There's the outline of a body on the ground, smoke everywhere. Chen shows up, saying that for a royal guard he's not bad. It's just a shame that as long as this form exists, he's indestructible, since there's nothing he can't cut. The guy's got swagger, honestly. But then in the middle of the rubble, someone flashes by like a blur. A second later, they're face to face again and the sword lands clean on Muzan's arm. Muzan tanks it. Chen says it's meaningless, because that sword will never cut him. And right after he says that, the next scene shows the arm getting sliced. Not just a little cut. No, it's full-on sushi. Chen says he's starting to get tired of this annoyance. Muzan's all chopped up. He's in shock because the sword has such insanely concentrated heat that it melted his arm and went straight through. In this condition, there's no way he can treat it. And for his steel-like skin, that heat combo is the worst possible matchup. Chen says the next thing he's cutting is Muzan's leg, but Muzan is in that Nituro mindset, saying he doesn't fear death. He tells the young man not to be arrogant, because he'll fight with everything he has until the end. This only ends when his throat gets torn open. Alright, respect restored. Muzan throws rocks toward the human, who blocks. A barrage of wind comes in, and Chen realizes this guy is pushing himself even though he knows he'll lose. Still, Chen's impressed that even a punch from that far away can kick up wind like that. But in the end, it's all pointless. As Chen closes in, Muzan tells him to come. He only has one chance to make this work, and the moment Chen gets close enough, Muzan activates the spears that pierce the skies. The attack looks like it's going straight for Chen's chest, but from Muzan's expression and the fact he drops to his knees, I don't think it did. Chen just slipped through and cut his leg instead. Muzan's holding himself up on the stump while Chen says he's pretty skilled. Chen's starting to understand why that pack of traitor rats followed him. Too bad it's obvious this game is over. Muzan can tell him where the key is or Chen will cut his head off. Actually, Chen will kill him even if he talks, but at least he'll do it without pain. Muzan says Chen is trash, he trampled humans in his own kind. What was he even trying to achieve with that obsession? Chen ignores the question and asks if the old man is really going to risk his life for that worthless half-breed. The old man smiles and says there's nothing better than doing exactly that. Chen looks shaken that the old guy still has an aura like this. Maybe some ability Chen didn't know about. Wait, Chen isn't just reacting to the aura? He says it's not Muzan's power, it's something that's draining his energy. And when he looks to the side, guess who's arriving? Han Naro, fist cocked, saying it ends here and now. He lands a clean hit on Chen and sends him flying. The protagonist is furious. Muzan is impressed. Then the old man remembers someone telling him to always keep in mind that he has to protect the people who can't protect themselves. And if there ever comes a moment when he doesn't have the strength to protect himself, that's when he'll be protected by the king. That was the protagonist's father. Obviously the guy was a legend. And now the old man sees the boy, reminds him of his dad. In that moment, he's sure Naro is the son of King Kan. He asks if the former king can see what's in front of him. The eternal flame still lived. Luna comes closer, asks if he can stand, and she shows the blue butterfly. I guess that's her way of saying she's not an enemy. I'm not totally sure. She leans in by his shoulder and says they need to get out of there urgently. But he hesitates. Actually, he's not hesitating. I think he died. That hit me. He saw the king, the protagonist with that king vibe, and then he died. That caught me off guard. I hated this old man when he came back. Then I started respecting him again, and now he's gone. Back to the fight. Of course Chen didn't die from that punch. The protagonist is sure this guy is completely different from every monster he's fought so far. Chen walks up saying he suffered in hell his whole life for the chance to kill him, and now he's going to personally rip off each of his limbs. The protagonist activates his aura and says fine, then he'll give him the chance to try. Suddenly attacks come in with red ropes, but Chen blocks easily. The protagonist recognizes it as Luna's power, and one of the attacks is on Chen's neck. She's fully transformed like Ari mid lane. Look at her go. She tells the protagonist to get out of the fight and that she'll handle it. She's acting like she's in a Marvel movie. This is girl power and she's about to get herself killed. This story is Korean. There's no girl power safety net. But I forgot one thing, the protagonist doesn't care at all about his wife, so he turns and tells her to hold on for a bit and he'll be right back. What the hell? She says okay, and starts getting ready to use Ari's Q. He's really going to leave his wife to die against the final boss. Alright fine, let's remember the plot twist. Luna is probably the girl he abandoned in the forest. Big secret, huh? Totally hidden, nobody could have guessed. And then boom, Chen suddenly freaks out and asks, Lin? She looks confused like what are you talking about? How do you know my real name? Come on, does she have a goldfish memory too? She tells him to say how he knows her name, while Chen stays completely silent. She attacks, demanding an answer, but he's still intact. The ropes wrap around him. She rushes in, lands a clean hit, sends him flying. He still doesn't respond, doesn't do anything. It really is girl power. That's what I like to see. She goes in with that vertical kick from low to high, straight into his stomach. He spits blood. She grabs him by the neck and tells him to answer. She's furious. So that name is really that sensitive. When he says Lin again, she tells him to shut up. Nobody is allowed to call her that name because she's Luna, the king's protector. Then Chen starts talking to himself, saying he had to become stronger because they took everything valuable from him. He survived with all his strength because of her death, so why was she alive? She should have died in that forest. Then boom, explosion. If she didn't die then, she dies today. The scene switches to a truck with Aaron's group arriving. Hansong wants to know what's going on. The whole place is on fire and they can't see anything. Arin tells everyone to focus. Hansong asks why she's acting like the leader. She says she can feel a terrifying energy, power she's never witnessed before. This situation has an extremely high chance of getting them killed. Then Nero comes out carrying the old man, and now the big question is, why didn't you tell your wife to carry the old man while you went to fight? Whatever. Let's pretend that didn't happen. He talks to Muzan. Wake up, I'll protect you. Walking with him through the emptiness, telling him not to die like this. I think it's already over for him. That hurt. The protagonist says he only has Muzan and Luna in this life. He doesn't want to lose again. Muzan, with his hand on the protagonist's shoulder, starts turning to ash, telling the king to lift his head. The protagonist is crying, saying everyone who stays by his side dies. And honestly, he's right. He grew up alone, they killed his grandma. They killed his friend. He finally meets two people, and now another one is dying, and he also left his wife to die. Everyone's going to die. The old man, suddenly all religious, says that even if these bodies disappeared from the physical world, they still exist as souls and will always be by his side. That's why he has to take responsibility, stand there, and fight for those who are still alive. And with that, the old man fully turns to ash, saying that as captain of the guard, it was an honor to have known him. No, now that the old man is gone, it's over. The protagonist is going to snap, back to the flames. Chen is choking Luna, saying she was always an obstacle, always fell for traps and was too kind. And now at a moment like this, she comes back alive out of nowhere. And on top of that, she's protecting that filthy half-breed. She's still pathetic like always and really deserved to have died in that forest. But even while being choked, she says he's a coward. Such a coward that he abandoned her in the forest instead of just killing her. And now he's shocked she survived. That hits him. She even kicks him. There, take that. She falls back, all flexible while he's shaken. She finishes by saying that if he really wanted her to die, he shouldn't have given her that necklace. The blue butterfly saved her. So if he wanted her dead, why give her that before leaving? He says the path he walks always leads to suffering. His whole life was blood and fire in that hell, and there was no reason to drag one more person through it. Luna starts to feel sorry for him, but he tells her not to get in his way anymore. That's the only thing he's asking. And just as he's ready to bring the huge sword down, someone starts approaching. When she looks back, it's the protagonist, acting like he couldn't care less. He says Muzan is dead and that he'd never forgive Chen for it. Damn, the kid's got style. Chen celebrates and laughs, saying he's finally showing who he really is. Today, this conflict between the two of them was going to end. Yeah, but it literally just started already ending today. Fine, let's go then. The next chapter starts with the building exploding from a blue punch and Chen getting launched away. Chen comes back with a sword slash, but the protagonist answers with a punch, another cut, a straight-up brawl, blocks flying everywhere. Naro's starting to get those marks on his head, and honestly the M1 group still hasn't shown up. Then the protagonist throws a punch that turns into a barrage, the famous icy fire. The ice keeps spreading, but then a leftover trace of flame appears, and everything gets wiped out. Chen is staring with pure hatred, and the protagonist comes in with my favorite female move. Off in the distance, his wife is in shock that he's actually that strong. Even the strongest demon was struggling. She was sure Naro's strength right now was leaving Chen with no way out. The only problem is, Chen fought for years in hell while Naro is still learning. Even if Naro's raw power is way higher, this is a much more dangerous situation for him. And that girl makes things complicated too. She wants to help the protagonist, but she keeps remembering Chen calling her his little sister. So she slaps herself, saying she can't be thinking about that at a time like this. She has to fight for the king. In the middle of the fight, Chen thinks Naro is just like him. Both of them only had one relative, and both lost the people they cared about. They were born into lives that were already ruined. Why were they both destined for this? Was it just bad luck? He's thinking all that while fighting, then lands another hit to the back. He says if their lives are going to be like this, then Naro should live the rest of his life full of regret and frustration. He's going to make him suffer as much as possible and pile up all that hatred. The protagonist gets up from the rubble saying he has to be faster, he needs to be even stronger, but then someone calls his name. It's Luna. She steps in front of him and says it's dangerous to keep going at this pace. The plans failed, but they have to be more careful, because if he dies there, then today it's over for everyone. But he's in full solo leveling mode. He tells her to get out of the way because he'll handle it alone. Luna tells him to give up. No matter how strong he gets, his attacks keep getting countered. He's already thrown everything he has, and Chen is still untouched. The first chance Chen gets, Naro is going to die. Like a husband who actually listens. He closes his eyes and asks what he's supposed to do. Then she smiles. She loves telling him what to do and says he needs a decisive attack. They need to create an opening for a real hit to land. She asks if he can do it, and he seems to agree. He walks toward the flames and says he'll make it happen. Meanwhile, the late trio is finally arriving, saying they're detecting bioenergy up ahead. Eren tells them to get ready because the real mission is starting now. And Hansong, poor guy, hasn't even seen a punch yet, hasn't thrown a single hit, and he's already saying the atmosphere is intense. Then He looks to the side and asks if that isn't Han Nero. It is, charging in again. Eren looks over and gets furious because she sees Luna with her 9 tails. At the same time, Chen pulls his sword, wondering if he shouldn't personally erase Luna once and for all. She looks insanely cool there, wrapped in that heavenly foxfire. For a second, the human couldn't feel or see anything. It was like he was trapped in an Itachi illusion, and then the protagonist drives a strike straight into his chest. Even so, Chen just says it's impressive for trash like him, a mixed-blood race. He grabs the protagonist's arm and says he can feel the king's energy in there. It's too much power for such a small vessel. That's why he's going to consume that power to open the gates, forcing Nero to destroy the interdimensional barrier using the king's power. The protagonist fell into the trap. Luna screams for Naro to get away, but it's too late. Their energies are mixing, and from the backlash, she takes a whip-like hit right in the middle of her chest. The protagonist goes full Dragon Ball Pillar of Light, shooting into the sky, while Chen apparently gets completely charred. As the kid screams, the lazy trio just stands there watching, still doing nothing. And in the demon realm, that same pillar tears through the heavens. Instantly, the demons start celebrating. The gate has finally opened. The light that would guide them to the human world has been found. Chen got the key. It was time for everyone to charge. The king shouts during the speech, saying those damn humans almost drove them to extinction. But they survived until now, and it's time to make that entire race pay for all that suffering. Today, the true Demon King will take back the world that was stolen from them. Then he gives the order. The army is to invade that world and kill everyone still alive. Next chapter. The lazy trio sees the portal opening above the city. If the city really has to rely on those 3 to defend it, it's over. Meanwhile, the protagonist is basically pulling his Ari out of mid lane, going for the rescue, going for the gank. The 2 in the back are talking about him saving Luna, while Eren is still in shock, wondering if what she saw was actually real. The city looks peaceful for 1 second, and the next, a giant demon head drops onto a car. A human steps out to see what's happening and ends up face to face with that huge head. Then he hears a scream behind him, turns around, and people are getting eaten, and it's literally raining demons. This reminds me of that apocalypse scene with the kid from Blue, you know?
No.
Exactly like that. Monsters falling from the sky, raining down, and everyone in the city is done for. The creatures jump from building to building, land in front of buses, flip everything over, destroy the whole bridge. And somehow there's a reporter flying around at a time like this. No way I'm getting in a helicopter. Those things crash even when nothing's happening. See? Told you not to take the helicopter. Got eaten midair. The bridge starts getting overrun. And wow, these demons are all big-headed too. Seriously. Meanwhile, Jayok is getting urgent calls. Someone tells him the VIPs are worried. He says he knows he'll fix the situation, don't worry. But if he succeeds, he wants full rights to be in charge of all this. Sounds like he's talking to the government. And the government says fine, since they're the only ones preparing to fight something like this. Looking at Nero's image, he says from now on they're going to follow every single decision he makes. Scene change. While people are dying in the city, Luna is resting in bed, and Eren went to check what was going on. Monsters are eating people outside, and she still went to see what the protagonist was doing with Luna. He's walking around clueless, thinking his wife got hurt worse than he expected. Then he notices part of the house has been broken into, meaning Luna is in danger. Back in the room, Eren is casting a spell on Luna's head. The protagonist storms in furious, asking what she's doing. He grabs her, demanding what she thinks she's doing, and she answers with an attack he barely dodges. He tells her to explain why she's there. This isn't going to end peacefully like last time. Eren says there's something she needs to check about Luna. Then she pulls the blanket back and her expression changes, saying she really wasn't wrong, and telling him to look. Luna has a crater in her chest. That was expected. Eren tells him no person survives a condition like that, and he's like, well, he always survives, honestly. But that's not her point. She's saying that since Luna is still alive, it proves she's clearly a monster. And the protagonist has some nerve. He goes, no, I think you're crazy, Eren. "You're making things up," right to her face, just lying. Eren tells him to wake up. It's beyond obvious Luna is a monster, but he covers Luna and says Luna is just Luna, nothing else. They've fought side by side since the beginning, and they'll keep doing it. Eren isn't having it, and tells him to stop being ridiculous. Monsters are the enemy. She swings at him, but he catches her fist and tells her to calm down. That's when she realizes he isn't normal either. He reveals the marks and says that even if it isn't much, he also has monster blood running through his veins. Yeah, not much. Just half the Demon King's blood. No big deal. Now he's stuck. Monsters want to hunt him, and humans are going to see him as an enemy too. He says he doesn't even know which side he's supposed to be on or who he's fighting for. Erin doesn't answer, she just stares at him, but she's got something in her pocket, like she's sending a message. Actually, she's getting messages asking for help, because there are creatures eating people in the city. People begging her, "Where are you? Come help." So she tells the protagonist that for now their goal is the same, so they'll cooperate. She'll count on him, and for now on Luna too. They use a ton of bandages, take off Luna's clothes, wrap her up, and he says he'll be back later. He remembers how much she fought for him. He just asks her to survive so they can see each other again someday. Back in the city, Hansong is there. How many monsters has he killed so far? Tell us. He's looking for targets or the rest of the group when a huge roach-like thing behind a wall tries to sneak attack him from behind. It slams into the ground, but he's gone already at its neck. Another slice. Honestly, the kid can cut. Then he runs again, but he messes up. The creature regenerates behind him when he gets distracted and comes in with another heavy hit. Say he saves him. She jokes that she saves him every time, but she really does. While he's mad, she's glowing, saying she was really worried. She's just not 100% worried because he's ugly. Brutal. No mercy for the background guy. Then another gang shows up in front of them and they realize it's going to be hard to deal with all this without Eren. But what choice do they have? The monsters are right there, so both of them charge in. Eren is sprinting through the city trying to regroup, but help requests are coming in from everywhere, and since she's already being attacked, she knows it won't be easy to push through. She throws her arm up, makes a purple tornado, rips through the sky, and sends it at the monsters. Everything getting hit from all directions. She probably used that spirit rain thing and burned all the creatures' eyes. The bad part is the monsters are still standing and still attacking her, and she's wondering how they didn't die to an AoE like that. She thinks she can handle it, until something bites down on her bicep. That bite goes deep, but the protagonist shows up and helps. Literally, he rips the creature off, throws it away, kicks the next one, grabs another by the mouth, and slams it into the ground until it explodes. The monsters start falling apart while Eren just stands there stunned, and all she asks is where Chen is. I want to know too. Where is Chen? And then out of nowhere, Eren's like, my god. The atmosphere around him changed. She says she didn't get any message, but he seems to be hiding. She tells him to wait, but she's clearly in pain from the bite. And then she notices strange ash coming out of the wound. They say Chen is hiding, but he's up on top of a building, everything destroyed, just sitting there calmly, thinking about his sister. Then Cassiopeia appears and says he finally made it. And judging by how he looks, he's loving watching all these humans get consumed. The king must be thrilled with Chen's results. All thanks to him getting the key. Cassiopeia is sure Chen already took care of the blue butterfly messenger and the cursed air. Chen asks who he's talking about. Blue butterfly messenger? Cassiopeia says he means the girl who uses that red thread ability. She's been passing information and messing up their advance. Chen immediately understands who it is and asks if he wants to find out what happens if they lay a hand on her. Cassiopeia doesn't really get it, and Chen repeats it. Thinking Chen wants him to be brutal, Cassiopeia says fine. If he finds her, he'll cut off all her limbs and make her suffer. But Chen tells him to shut up and grabs him by the throat. And he's already saying that based on the description, the kid must be the type who likes dying while suffering, so they can start with him. Like, what? He didn't suffer that much. His head came off. He died. Okay? This guy here is completely shaken. He tried to walk it off, but then he got scared again right after. Oh my god. Somebody help this Chen. I mean, help as in kill him, right? Next chapter shows the city has been taken over by flying creatures, and in one of the labs, someone's treating Eren's arm. She comments that yesterday's injuries are already regenerating completely. She asks how that's even possible, and Sula says it doesn't matter. The important thing is that she's recovering. But then Eren pulls the needle out of her own hand and says she's not that relieved about it. Suilsa asks what she thinks she's doing, and Eren says she wants to know what's inside that syringe. The doctor hesitates and gets slammed into the wall. Eren tells her to say it right now. What they've been injecting into her all this time. And of course, nothing but liars in this story. The doctor goes, it's just something for fatigue. Nothing serious. Eren doesn't buy it and jabs her in the neck with the needle. The same nothing serious stuff. But from her reaction, Eren can tell it's something big, because otherwise she wouldn't be that scared. So Solwa says she'll explain. The truth is, what they inject into her is cells taken from the monster's DNA. Eren doesn't get it, and the woman explains those cells are way more powerful, especially the regeneration. Like Eren already knows, monsters have insane physical strength, and when humans get access to that power too, they become much stronger. Eren was supposed to understand it wasn't bad, and that's when she finally realizes they've been experimenting on her and using her as a test subject the whole time. Solwa says no, it was just to make her stronger. It wasn't an experiment, but Eren isn't buying it. The poor girl starts crying, saying she got turned into a monster without even knowing. She has her little breakdown, but now she's going down some stairs. Suddenly Seohwa stops and says they're heading toward an S-rank area that no agent is allowed to enter. Aaron says she doesn't care, if Seohwa is here then she can get in, so open the door already. Seohwa does it, and they walk into a room full of monsters inside water-filled cylinders. Aaron immediately notices the creatures in there are moving. Seohwa explains the captain is trying to create a new race, a mix of human and demon. If they succeed, the timid M1 could dominate the world. At first, it was really hard to capture these creatures alive, but now that the monsters have finally crossed into this world, they've got the perfect opportunity. Then a gust of wind moves Seohwa's hair and she wonders why. She turns around and sees Aaron aiming power at her. Seohwa asks what she thinks she's doing, and Aaron says she's sure Seohwa is lying when she claims it's for the good of humanity. Clearly, this M1 group is just being used somehow to take control of the world. The scientist tries to say Aaron's wrong, that all they want is to improve humanity's abilities. Aaron tells her to stop lying like she's stupid. The attack almost hits Seohwa's face, but instead it shatters one of the glass tanks holding a creature. Seohwa complains that Aaron broke the collection, and right then the creatures spill out of the water. She asks if Aaron has lost her mind. She has no idea how much they suffered to collect those. And honestly, this scene is scary. The woman gets dragged by tentacled creatures. One of them is already covering her mouth, while Seohwa says she's not letting this be free. I don't even know what happened exactly, but something startled Aaron. She didn't seem to care and just turned away. The poor scientist ended up in the kind of forbidden genre story this platform doesn't allow. Meanwhile, morning comes and Luna wakes up. It's wild. Like, as far as I know, the city is being destroyed, and everyone's acting weirdly calm. Luna wakes up with Aaron standing in front of her, and Aaron immediately says that since Luna woke up, it's pretty clear monster genes really do strengthen humans. The blonde tries to say something, but she's in pain. Aaron tells her to stay calm because her injuries aren't fully healed yet. Luna can only think that she must have been knocked out during that fight with Chen. But what happened to him in Nero? And judging by how Aaron is acting, she found out Luna has some kind of monster gene. So Luna asks if Aaron is going to torture her, and what she's doing there. Aaron snaps back that she's angry. She's treating Luna as well as she can, and this is the thanks she gets? Luna turns away, saying she won't believe her. But either way, Aaron clearly knows the truth now. Luna tries to thank her, but Aaron says she doesn't need to thank her because she's doing it as a favor for Nero, because he seems like the only solution to get out of this situation, and he seems to care that the great Luna is safe. Back in the city, people are wondering if that was the last demon, and wow, the boys squad is actually handling it. Seriously, I didn't expect it. But then someone points up and tells them to look, and it's endless. Yeah, kids, I don't think you're making it. The poor guys were collecting a body, and now they have to start running again. Another hit from the monstrous pterodactyl thing starts devouring the bodies on the ground. Up on top of a building, the protagonist is just watching everyone get eaten. Then he throws out some spinning move. I don't even know what he did, but it sliced the creature clean in half. And he's thinking about the deaths of the people who matter to him and how it means nothing to these demons. He has no idea why these bastards are doing this, and he knows he'll never understand, because he doesn't need to, since with this power he's going to crush all their plans and make them face the end of the world the same way he did. The city keeps burning, things keep exploding, and the protagonist says it still wasn't enough, surrounded by dead monsters in every direction. Meanwhile, in the demon realm, that huge pillar is still stabbing into the sky. Looks like the Demon King is arriving. Or actually no, he's standing in the same place as always, asking why they haven't gotten any news. A servant reports that the first ones who crossed over were killed by enemy forces. The king asks what this enemy thing is. The servant hesitates, then reveals that their greatest opponent is the person who uses the blood of the old king. Immediately, the new king clamps his hand over the servant's mouth and tells him to shut up, saying there's no such thing as the old king's power. There's only one king, and that's him. The servant tries to apologize while the king starts freezing his face, saying he's tired of everything he does, and he kills him for no reason. Then he complains they're running out of troops, like you're the one killing your own troops. He says it's good for all demons to remember they should fear him more than they fear Chen or the other person on the other side, because he's still the demon king of this world. Back in the scientist's room after the 18+ stuff, all that's left is a little Shu. Jahook can't believe that Aaron betrayed them at a time like this. But the most important thing now is stopping more information from leaking. He asks the people there if there's any agent who can urgently return to base. The guy writing says it'll be hard. There's an emergency and chaos outside with tons of casualties. Jahook asks if they're losing, and the guy says thankfully no, because this agent Honaro is handling everything. Jahook is clearly interested in the protagonist, since he's exactly what he wants, a hybrid. At that moment, the protagonist throws himself toward a mass of tentacles coming at him. He jumps from branch to branch, but the creature lands a clean hit and traps his arm. The protagonist takes a deep breath, starts freezing the creature's branch-like limb up to his arm and snaps it in half. When Jahook sees that icy breath coming from the kid, he recognizes the power immediately. Meanwhile, the rest of the group is exhausted. Hansong says they haven't stopped fighting for hours. They really need to go back and rest. Honestly, respect. I called them lazy, but they fought all night. Even Sehi, trying to act upbeat, admits she's done too. She can't fight anything else. But then she notices someone approaching. She tells Hansong to look ahead because that guy came back, the same person they saw on the monitor. Chen is standing face to face with them. Sehi immediately calls it in, saying they've got Code 9 right in front of them. She gives the order and charges. I respect the courage, but I don't know what she thinks she's going to do. She just takes a brutal punch to the stomach and gets thrown away. She slams into the wall so hard it's like she exploded against it. Hansong realizes the gap between them. He calls out to her, but then he realizes it's on him now. He rushes Chen in rage, but he uses that same technique the protagonist figured out when he was weak. So that big back attack obviously does nothing. Chen dodges and says their movements are all uncoordinated. Hansong asks where he is. Then Chen grabs him by the back of the head and smashes him into the ground. While Hansong is getting beaten, Sei is telling herself she has to get up, but her body won't listen. Then someone comes closer and she looks up, terrified. Chen is holding Hansong by the neck and says now he's going to get straight to the point, and he starts burning him right in front of her eyes. What is this? Just sudden brutality out of nowhere. Don't kill Sei, please. Chen tells her she'd better obey if she wants to die without pain. She starts shaking, realizing the guy in front of her is on a completely different level. Then out of nowhere, Hansong grabs her hand and tells her to run fast. She has no chance and she'll just die for nothing. But she refuses. She stands up saying she won't abandon him. She goes for a huge punch, but Chen blocks it easily. He throws her into the wall again, and then he rips her arm off. What is that? Chen comments that it's funny, when humans die, their bodies keep existing, unlike monsters. Sefi looks to the side and sees there's nothing left of her arm. She jumps up anyway, saying she doesn't care, she'll still kill him. But Chen just drives his arm straight through her abdomen. Where is Nero? You were out in the city fighting creatures. Are we getting to the fight now or what? Chen pulls his arm back and watches her body fall, saying that damn Nero had a lot of friends. Next chapter, the whole city is still burning. The soldiers who aren't much use are standing there in shock as more creatures keep coming through the portal. Worse, it looks like their level is increasing. Some random guy tries to raise a shield and begs for help, saying they need reinforcements. Then suddenly a punch lands right in his face and he gets thrown away. The hand looked kind of human, but no, it was the monster. As he's about to pass out, he sees a strange guy walking up. Totally random moment. Citizen, you should run. But the creature is right there in front of him. And who is it? Nero, asking where Chen is. The guy on the ground seems to recognize him, and when the blonde tries to help, he tells her to wait. Naro tells the creature to call Chen over right now. The monster looks scared of him, but it works up the courage and throws a punch. Obviously nothing happens. The protagonist blocks it effortlessly and says it doesn't matter how many times they try to kill him because he'll always come back. Then he fires a barrage of energy through the creature's chest and blows everything apart right in front of them. The guy on the ground starts remembering an old rumor about someone with the power of blue flame. The one who would win the war. Looks like that power is in this kid's hands. Jae-hyuk, looking at the document, says now it's worse than he imagined and they have no choice but to prevent it. But the item he got might be useful for something later, and he's looking at it along with the protagonist's documents. What are you trying to do to my boy? Yeah, this bastard stole the protagonist's DNA and is trying to run. He gets into a helicopter. The little criminal. Come on, let some monster eat that helicopter. Take him out mid-air. And there it is. The creature shows up. Jae-hyuk is trying to escape, yelling to take off now, but the monster triggers an explosion and rushes the helicopter. They scream and it gets ripped apart in the air too. Yeah, he deserved it. The city is full of flying monsters, and you decide to leave by helicopter. You could have just stayed at the base, but whatever. I get it. The story needs to wrap up, and this guy needs to die. Meanwhile, Chen is watching the whole city get swallowed up, saying that what he's seeing is the shape of the hatred he feels for humanity. His heart was burning with resentment, and he was ready to curse everyone's life, even knowing that in a war there are no winners. But then between some buildings, these gigantic pillars of ice start rising up. He smiles when he sees that the creature beats its wings and he heads that way. A monster with a crater in its chest slams into the ground, and standing in front of him is the protagonist. Someone calls out to him, saying he must have spent a ton of energy to open that gate. It's Chen, obviously recognizing the power of that damn king. Right then, he goes into his final form, saying he's going to use everything he has left to finish Naro right there. The protagonist just smiles and says he finally found him. He starts climbing the building while Chen comes in with the dragon, attacking. The protagonist says that the power they want so badly cost him way more than they could ever imagine. His aura keeps growing, and the instant the dragon makes contact, it gets completely frozen. Even Chen can't hold up. He's not resisting it either, and he realizes the space around the two of them has been sealed off. The cold air hits down to the bone like knives slicing through his whole body. Honestly, Naro would have won if he'd picked a different opponent. Chen breaks the ice with flames and goes in to throw a punch at the protagonist, saying it all ends there. Fist to fist, classic Dragon Ball moment. There's a blast of light, and in the next chapter, the whole building is glowing, cracking with this purple shine. They're face to face in that galaxy-level fight. The protagonist swings a punch. Chen tilts his head aside and slips out. But one of those punches almost freezes him completely, and Chen fires back with a brutal kick straight into his side, then presses in and slams the protagonist down into the ground. Chen is stunned. This kid opened the gate and still had that much energy. He really was the king's legitimate son. It was just a shame it was too soon for him. And while Chen is thinking that, the protagonist is looking insanely cool out there. Another explosion rips through the city and Chen gets thrown back. In the same instant, the protagonist is right in front of him, but the enemy stretches out his hand and casts this fire magic that looks like it's striking his body from every direction. One of the attacks pierces his hand, but even then, the protagonist clenches his fist. He focuses, fires off another energy blast, and Chen gets launched away. The protagonist is thinking that the fact he can't solve a single problem proves he isn't worthy of the title of king. And then Chen stands up again facing him and says the boy is being consumed by that power. Soon he won't be any different from a beast. He must have already noticed that to get more strength, he has to let go of controlling it. He'll have to follow the exact path his father followed and get lost in it. The protagonist steps in, telling him to shut up. While they're fighting, the two girls are watching from far away. The wife screams for her husband, while Aaron tells her to calm down, and the poor girl drops to the ground like an idiot. She's saying they have to help Naro. He's in the middle of the fight. She has to do something. Another explosion goes off right in front of them. Aaron lowers her head and activates a power around them, this purple energy. Luna realizes she's being healed, and Aaron says that today she's going to lend her strength so Luna can end this fight. Looks like she transferred mana, something like that. Back to the brawl. The protagonist jumps in to throw another punch at Chen, who's shocked by the kid's bloodlust. He fought like he couldn't be stopped, but he still wasn't ready, and now it was over for him. Chen fires a purple energy blast that wipes through the city, the building, and leaves a crater where the protagonist was. Then Chen says the boy didn't notice his body is freezing. He was too weak a vessel for that power, and soon he'd crack. It doesn't matter. He wasn't prepared to use the full potential of the king's blood. Suddenly, the protagonist opens his eyes and finds himself standing in front of his grandma's apartment door. He smiles like a fool and goes to open it, calling for her. But then he sees everyone he lost because of that power. Well, not everyone. Luna is still alive. His school friends really did die, but nobody cares about them. The old man dying is actually sad, and Chen can die soon too since he's the final boss. But all of that starts waking something up inside him. Then the protagonist is back in the void again, and that well-fed version appears, calling to him. The protagonist asks if this is the king's power. He's hanging his head, saying he can't protect anyone. He didn't protect Dam Junyo, didn't protect Muzin, didn't protect his grandma. Everyone keeps dying. Now that there's almost nobody left, what exactly is he fighting for? Like, did he forget he has a wife? That nourishing energy tells him not to feel bad, son of the king. All that pain and anger. He has to accept those emotions. Only then, for the first time, would he see the truth. Someone is screaming the protagonist's name. It's her. His wife telling him to wake up, saying he has someone to fight for. Yes, it's her. That's what I said. I reminded the kid I brought him back. Right then, Chen is in shock. The boy's wounds are healing insanely fast. Something is different from before. Maybe that was the power of the true king. The kid is flaring with aura when a big-mouthed creature comes in from the side, but one glance from the protagonist, and something smashes straight into the creature's chin. The punch hits like a bullet, so fast you can't even see it. Its face freezes over or gets pierced through by a block of ice. The thing is dead. Seeing that, Chen says everything changed. The moment he was abandoned, and after he left Luna in the forest, he swore to himself he'd never be moved by emotions again. But now, Naro had awakened something in him. He'd been waiting for this moment his whole life. He was finally going to experience true happiness. So they stand face to face. And in that moment, Naro sees the face of someone who, just like him, is ruled by pain and suffering. But Chen is different, and Naro tells him that, apparently, he has nothing in this world he wants to protect. The light expands across the entire city. Luna, far away, shields her eye, and it looks like an energy apocalypse just got unleashed. In a split second, the poor guy is missing a leg and an arm. Chen says he finally understands what the power of a king's authority means. That's what Sana was trying to protect, even if it killed her. The creatures in the city start getting pulled into the vortex in the sky, and Chen says that, like always, the result of this fight is that it will be eternal. The relationship between the two worlds was complicated, and Naro had to choose which side was he on. Was he human or a monster? The protagonist turns and says it never mattered. Then Chen smiles and says that in the end, he lost fair and square. He can't speak because his mouth has fallen apart, but he wanted to apologize to the boy, or apologize to Luna, since all she can do is watch his ashes scatter. She cries a single tear and asks if it's over. The protagonist says he can feel Kun's fury, that guy from the demon world, watching him from the other side. He wants to end this war, but for that he needs her by his side. She says, of course, and the two of them head toward the portal. With that, the only person who had the authority to open the gate passes through it. The sky that had that giant gate finally returns to a clear blue, and supposedly the gate was never opened again. That's what the story says. 3 months pass, someone saying yes, he's in South Korea, right at the place where the like on this video happened. That helps Mamoru make more juicy content for his viewers. Activate the cheeky